Got it going.
Hey, everybody. I'm Mike.
I'm Bob.
I'm Tim.
And I'm Sam.
Yes, you did it.
And this is the Board Game Rundown. Welcome to Whiskey Wednesday, the last Whiskey Wednesday of January 2025. We've got a guest with us. It is Sam Barmettler of Around The Stump Games. Welcome, Sam. Thanks for joining us.
Oh, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
You picked a really great topic. You got a really great game coming up that's hitting Kickstarter really soon. Definitely excited to talk about all of that stuff today.
Have you outran any bears recently? Is what I want to know.
He outran his friend, so that's just as good.
Yeah.
I've actually run at them before, but that's because we live near black bears instead of big brown bears that chase you back.
Fair.
You know, that actually brings me to I'm going to do a story real quick. I've ran at a black bear as well. As somebody that has frequented the Smoky Mountains several times in Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, I was with a group that was doing like this, like sort of Ewok looking like tree climb thing across like these bridges going from tree to tree. We see bears on the side of the mountain. We're like, let's go see where the bears are going. Well, they went towards the barbecue hut, which was closed. But that didn't stop the bear from going to get some sniffs. Well, next thing you know, we're walking on one side of the barbecue hut. The black bear is on the other side of the barbecue hut, and we're 10 feet from it. It's like, oh boy. The employees ended up telling us that they live on that mountain and they frequent the barbecue hut quite often, and they've named them. So nice. I also have chased black bears.
Yep.
I was really ready to mark my bingo card for an Alaska trip.
I was waiting for it to be something that happened in Alaska and be like, okay, yeah, we get it. Yeah.
I know. If you go to Alaska, you won't shut up about it either. So
fair.
We should say hi to our regulars real quick. We got Andrew in the house, of course. He's Andrew.
He is.
Steph says hi from the other side of the world.
Morning.
Wayne from Beans and Dice. He's going to be joining us in a few weeks, actually.
Yes.
So it's great to see everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Real quick, I'll just plug it real fast at the top of the show, since it's been out like for a week now, and I wasn't on last week because I took my kids to see the Globetrotters. You can see me on episode 24 of Pop Culture Jeopardy now. That's it. That's all I'll say. We don't have to talk about it. Check your bingo card because like Alaska, if you go to get to be on Jeopardy, you will also talk about that all the time.
True.
I was really hoping to be able to convince you into sharing a score, like just privately, so I could like bet my family about that.
Oh, man.
Good.
I might have done it for that. I was really good. I was really tight-lipped about it. I didn't tell anybody other than my wife. I was pressured by some friends that were like, come on, man, you could tell. I'm not going to tell anybody. It's like, if I tell anybody and it gets out, I don't get paid.
Yeah. And we got my thumb screws and everything. Didn't work.
Yeah, it didn't.
He was very tight-lipped. He's very spoiler-free about his lists on the live show. Yeah. So I'm not surprised he was very tight-lipped about his Pop Culture Jeopardy appearance.
Yeah. Anyways, it was awesome. It was super fun. Really glad that I got to do it. But I didn't chase any bears. Well, at least maybe on Venice Beach, there might have been a couple bears chasing me, but I didn't realize it. Just kidding.
Wow.
I had an unfortunate nickname because of that game for a little while.
Oh.
Thankfully, it passed.
Oh, do tell.
Well,
he probably got rid of it.
Bring it back up. Called the bear guy at conventions. Like, I'm at longer conventions. They keep coming up to me and calling me the bear guy. And
the bear guy.
Thankfully, that's gone away.
That's good.
Weren't you wearing a bear suit? I thought I saw some bear suit photos.
That wasn't me. This last PAX, there is a group who found the game at the previous PAX, so PAX 2023. They found the game in the library. They played the game. They enjoyed the game. and they've been constantly playing it on Tabletop Simulator with each other because they're all spread out around the country, and they come cosplayed together every year is something. Last year they were all different levels of Gandalf.
Nice.
A really good Gandalf to a really poorly done Gandalf.
Gandalf.
And then this year on Sunday they show up and there is a bear wearing bunny slippers and a whole bunch of campers. And
that's good.
That's
good.
Highlight of my game design career right there.
Yeah,
that is amazing. I don't know anybody else
kind of made it, you know.
Yeah, I don't know anybody else that's ever had people cosplay as their game. Right?
Got you.
Yeah, that was
because usually it's like an accident, right? It's like your IP. You know, like, oh, I signed a very popular, IP, blah, blah, blah. These people cosplayed. So in your defense, Sam, that person in the bear suit should be known as the bear guy.
Yes, definitely. 100%.
I think that's the bear guy.
His entire play group is okay with that too. So yeah.
Oh, good. A
little bit of a misnomer, but we'll allow it. That's great, though.
Oh, and then this guy showed up who happened to look just like this character while not cosplaying as him.
Oh,
he had never seen the game before, and he looked exactly like the character, wearing the same type of shirt and everything.
Oh, that's so good.
That's great.
I guess if you're a type, you're a type, right? Yep. You should tell that guy to quit perpetuating the stereotype. That's not good for.
So, just for those that don't know, Sam, this was your first published game for your company, Around the Stump. For those that aren't familiar with this game, how does this game work? What's this game all about?
Yeah, so Outrun the Bear is a survival racing game for 2 to 6 players where the whole goal is don't get eaten by the giant hungry bear. So it's designed to be a very easy to get into, family-friendly game, or for a game group, it's a great late-night rough ruckus game. Typically, the first question I get asked whenever gamers have been like getting the little pitch right there is, can I trip my friends? And then as soon as I say yes, they're on board. So, it's designed to be a very fast-paced hand management racing game. But probably the coolest mechanism in the game is actually how we made the bear move. So the bear is not player controlled, and instead at the end of every single round, the cards that players played out during the round will end up determining how far the bear moves. So you have some level of agency of this back of the pack chasing you and trying to overtake you.
Nice.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, be a little strategic about what cards you play because you could be shooting yourself in the foot.
Yeah, and because all the other players are playing cards, there's like a lot of tension. It's really hard to track exactly how far the bear is going to go. So your palms will end up sweating.
Yes.
Yeah. When you're in last place, unless you have some tricks up your sleeve, in which case, second to last place should probably be nervous.
Right. That's so good.
So unfortunately, I have not played this one, but I was familiar with it when we approached you at Origins last year.
Who do we? West loves this game. That's how I heard about it.
Seems like a
West is probably why this game succeeded as well as it did. Jesse Anderson found it and showed it to West at Gen Con, and they absolutely loved it. And then West was like telling everybody in the world about it. And
yeah, West is a really amazing ambassador, right? You know,
he is also local to us, so we have gotten many opportunities to game with Wes, and we always have a great time with him.
Yep.
Well, Bob and I were playing games with him last Friday.
Played his game last
Friday. We did. Oh yeah. Yep. Oh, that game's going to be good.
Yeah,
that game's going to be good.
So this was your first published game, and now what you've got coming out February 15th is in a totally different direction, and that's the deck builder Button Kingdoms.
Yes. So Button Kingdoms, a game of fluff and corruption. It's my bribery-based deck builder that came about because it's actually because I was studying Catan at the time, because I didn't like Catan at the time, and I wanted to know why it does so well. So I took like 2 months, and that was the only game that I allowed myself to play. Was a game that I
Nice.
didn't enjoy, and I started watching like high level Catan players and seeing how they engage with the game and interact with it, and I started to understand that it's kind of the poker element of Catan that makes it do real well. That social aspect, that making it appear the deals are worse for you while they're actually better for you, and all of that. So I asked myself, well, how would I do that with my favorite type of mechanism, being deck building? So ended up coming up with the idea of just removing the cost from the cards and having other players set the cost on the card to have a player interaction. And when I first did that, it ended up being turned into a dexterity game. And I'm like, well, that's not the feel that I want. And then I tried to restrict it from being a dexterity game. It became a boring game. Went back the other way, became a dexterity game, and eventually, after about a year and a half of playtesting, we came up with the market system where we've got the buy, boycott, and sell tokens that you throw out there, and that ended up being a system that created all the player engagement, all the interaction that I wanted, the double talk, the trying to manipulate the table, without being a dexterity element like it was before.
I think the thing that really landed for me with this, I mean, yeah, that market system is the bread and butter, right? Like that's what for me, that's what really set this game into a different level. You know, I would have never guessed you got this. You were inspired by, not, I don't want to say inspired, but this came out of your studying Catan. Would have never guessed, ever in a million years. But like the face down placement, right? And then the reveal, and then, you know, and so I guess, like you said, right, that poker aspect, that reading the other players, what are they going to go for? What do I need to go for? What can I go for? You know, what am I trying to get? Like, what am I going to just try to sabotage? Like all of those questions, as you are playing, really just set your game completely apart and make it really unique. I said as much in the video, I'm sure, but anyways, that way I could at least say it to your virtual face is, I really just thought that was badass and enjoyed that. Because one of the games I'll talk about this evening has a similar kind of aspect, and the tension behind that is so much fun and really, really interesting.
Well, thank you. Of course, the actual really big inspiration is going to be on my list later on. Catan's also on my list. Sorry, spoiler. But
that's all right.
Yeah. The real big one is later on, which is what took my ideas that I got from Catan and like wanting to shape that into a deck builder, and then refined me in where I was pointing and trying to go. And once I share that one, we'll see if you guys match up my
see it. Yeah. Hey, hush up, Googs. We had him first.
Well, that mic's actually played out on the bear, though.
Oh, shit.
Oh. Well done.
Hey,
well done.
Mike Rice.
Nice.
I will bring Outrun the Bear to PoppyCon. We'll play it this weekend.
Oh, perfect.
So
that would be a great game to bring. We're going to be at a local gaming convention this weekend with a booth, promoting our channel, teaching people games. So that also means one of Sam's games will get some exposure. So double plus. It sounds fun. I love games with player interaction. I really started like playing a lot of Euro games when I first got into the hobby. So like, yes, I do love crunchy multiplayer solitaire games. But the thing is, I've been in sales for 25 years. So when you give me an opportunity to read players, negotiate with them, and bluff with them, I just eat it up. I love that in games. Those are some of my favorite experiences and stories that I tell later. And when you added this very unique novel, like I'm going to put down a bid for what other people are going to pay for the card, I ate that up in this game. It's very unique. And that adds player interaction to the market of a deck builder, where normally that doesn't exist at all during that phase. Plus, I know I mentioned it in the video. but the fact that it eliminates the downtime of waiting for people to read all the cards and figure out what they're going to buy. It just solved two problems at once for me. So I really enjoyed it.
The other thing that I really like about player interaction is I live in an area with very few gamers. If I'm going to play a game night, it's going to be I'm driving an hour and a half to get there for the game night. So the friends that I have down here, just non-gamers, if I'm going to play a game with them, a heavy player interaction game is actually much easier to play with non-gamers. And it also tends to be more competitive if you're playing a heavy interaction game with non-gamers. I kind of have that experience being the oldest of 5 kids. If you're the oldest, you're always ganged up on. If you're the experienced gamer at the table, you're always ganged up on, which means that heavy player interaction means I'm still like engaged and like I'm having to fight harder than I would have to normally fight in that type of game. But also like I'm the one with the experience to do that. So that's
I feel like games with heavy player interaction do not tend to be solvable. They do not tend to just be like, well, these are the first 5 moves you should make. And then, like chess is chess, right? But I don't like chess because I don't want to, well, I mean, I'm lazy. I don't want to take the time to learn, all the different strategies. But I mean, like, if you do this, then I need to do that. And then you do this, and then I need to do that. Like that's not fun. Like for me, I want the, like Mike was saying, like you were saying, right? I want that player interaction, like I love being the loud table at a meetup, at a convention, get a little rowdy, just have a good time, and that also helps kind of bring people out of their shells, and I think it makes people hopefully makes people a little more comfortable at the table, right? They can open up, loosen up a little bit. Cause like I don't expect everybody to meet me at my level, but just to kind of, have people like just loosen up a little bit and have a good time. I can dig it, so. Yeah. Oh, Googs is lobbying to get you, Sam.
I do have family out there.
Oh, he added us to the sexiness description, so I'll allow it.
Well, I mean, you had twice the BGR. I mean, that's a lot of sexy.
That's probably too much.
Too much. Too sexy.
No.
This is the Kickstarter page, by the way. This link is in the description of the video, of course. Sam, when I was finding links to you to add to the video, I, of course, came across the Button Kingdoms website itself. And I started reading. I was trying to find the part about how the name Around the Stump and how it's based on you carving a chess set.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
I just got done dogging chess. Here we go.
Yes. But do you still have that chessboard? Because if so, I'd love to see it.
I don't still have it. Actually, I never had it. So when I was about 10 years old, my grandparents moved to the house. We lived out in the country. My family lived on a 7-acre farmhouse, and my grandparents ended up moving to the house that was just down the hill. So I spent a lot of time with my grandfather. And my grandfather had a really great love for chess, and just he really loved doing kid things. I was his oldest grandchild, so he was excited to have the excuse to build model rockets and ships, and he loved building and he loved playing games. And the 2 games that we would play most frequently together were Othello and chess.
I love Othello.
And he had to step up to chess when he stopped having to let me win Othello and then stopped being able to beat me at Othello. So then he taught me chess. And I was in chess club during 6th grade during every single lunch session. And then my grandpa was like, hey, here'd be a fun project for us. So he had a tree that he had to cut down in the backyard, cut that tree down. And then we built the chess set on top of it. So
That's
it
awesome.
was wood that he had planed from that tree that he chopped down and made all the different squares. And also the chess pieces themselves were gas plumbing fixtures that we screwed together and placed on there. He still has the pieces themselves, but the table's gone because they no longer live at that house. And I'm not sure it actually lasted through all the years because it was an outdoor. But that's Around the Stump. So Around the Stump is me and my grandfather coming together around that tree stump that is the chess set that we used to play together.
That's awesome.
I love that story. That's cool.
It's my grandpa was definitely a big figure in my youth. And I definitely have part of my love of games comes from him. And part of my love from games comes because I was probably naturally inclined that way. But
Yeah, that's so cool though that you had somebody to kind of help foster that, and not just like your love of games, but that creative aspect of it, right? And then get into the creativity, and fuel that. That's a great story.
Thank you.
Good to see you, Brandon.
Hey,
Good
Brandon.
point. Yeah, that's great. I figured there would be a really good story behind that, so I'd be remiss if I didn't mention that when I saw it.
Well,
It's really cool that that's on your webpage there.
Yeah, it's an important part of my life. So
Yeah, I think that's really great and a way to kind of honor that memory as well.
Yep. And he's still around. I actually finally was able to hand him a copy of Around the Bear just last month. So
Nice.
I hadn't actually been able to see him in person since before the pandemic. But my brother was getting married back in California, so we traveled out there, and my grandpa was feeling well enough to come up to where he was getting married. So, yep.
There you go. Around the Stump and How to Steam Broccoli, two of his favorite publisher names. That's pretty good.
Those are good ones for sure.
Those are really good ones. 100%. Also easy to remember. I like Seppi's also. I like Fight in a Box. I think Fight in a Box is
a good one.
Is a good one.
Mm-hmm. That might have to be a top 5 soon. Publisher names. I don't know.
Ooh.
Maybe I'm reaching. Might be reaching.
Yeah,
man. I always talked about how I'm always up to date on my BGG, and I've got my rating here, but my play isn't showing up there.
6.5? What you got? 6.5?
Played it. Why isn't it there? That doesn't make sense.
Is that 6.5?
My no, there's the confirmation there. But no, sometimes I find that my BG stats doesn't sync to BGG as quickly as I would like. I gotta work on that.
You may have to force it. Who won that game? Did I win that game?
I'm sure I did.
Hold on, BG stats doesn't lie, and it may not be on BGG, but it's on my phone. Damn it!
I had the impression, just based on on your guys' preview coverage, that Tim won the game. Like that's just what I was assuming. Though I actually have no information on it other than
I'm trying to remember. I don't remember.
I have receipts.
Yeah.
So Bob scored 37, and that's notable because it's the lowest score, and he usually wins. Like every game.
I did rate 6.5.
Mostly just based on his score.
It's based on my score.
Did I miss an excuse? I scored 48, and Tim did win with 54.
Cheating.
That's right. Listen, I'm just good at deck builders, boys.
Now, I forget. Did I tell Tim that the champion that he was playing as actually has a change?
Cheating.
See, I was right. Mm-hmm.
Hey, listen, man. I was playing the rules as they were written at the time. Not my fault.
Yeah.
So I'm curious. How do those scores compare to what's a really high score that you've heard of?
And a really low score is like 37, right?
Well, the highest score that we ever had was Kim Beach of Good Games Publishing. He managed at Gamma last year. I want to say he was at 157, but that was an old iteration of the game.
Okay.
And there were lots of changes. There's been lots of things dialed back in.
I was like, wow, I did terrible.
Insane. So currently, I think really high scores, but because of the nature of the game, really high scores tend to be about around 60 to 70 range. But also having a high score really just means that everybody at the table was playing more of a control game. Hearing scores that are in the 30s to 40s range typically means you have very aggressive players at the table that go and just swing hard and ramp up their attack really fast. But other times you have people who are there trying to collect buttons and they're trying to slow each other down with spies. So depending on what the makeup of the table is like I mentioned, I've been testing it recently with a lot of commander players, as I was telling you guys before the show. And so they kind of see that when they're playing. Are they more of an aggro player? Are they more of a control player? Are they kind of mid-range? And that's really reflected in the scores.
Yeah, we definitely, I think, played pretty aggressive. Or, like really we're taking some big swings, trying. Oh, yeah. We like to just try mechanics, right? Sometimes it's like, well, what? This may not seem like the most optimal move, but what'll happen? What'll happen if I do this?
What happened?
Yeah. What happens when I attack Bob? How does that work?
Oh, they get the high score, right?
Wow, that's crazy.
That's weird.
Yeah.
But that, the end of that game, ramped up really fast. It was boom, boom. It really, yeah. I was kind of getting out of control by the end of that game.
Yeah,
I think.
You friggin' button hook.
Who got eliminated first? Do you remember? Or not eliminated? What's nice is even though your hit points run out, you're still playing the game. Who ran out of hit points first? Was it me?
I think it was you.
Mike.
I think it was you.
I think I got off to an early lead, and you assholes kept hitting on me. So,
listen,
that tracks.
So I got this question from somebody else who's doing some preview content coming up. And they were puzzled by that. They're like, why, when you run out of health, are you still in the game? And I think I'm going to have to clarify this a little bit more in the rule book, the thematic aspect. But you're actually that champion that's in front of you. So those are not your hit points. Those are the hit points for the kingdom that you come from. So you're coming from that kingdom, and that's why they seize the throne in that kingdom.
Right.
But because you are the champion playing with your stuffed toys, because you're actually all kids in this mock
game.
They
took your chair, but you're still
around. So you're able to keep on being out there. And
Yeah, no, I think all that makes a lot of sense. I also think, well, why am I still playing even though my kingdom is gone is because player elimination sucks.
There's that. Yeah. It's like you want to try to make a thematic tie, and what you mentioned makes sense, but at the same time, player elimination is not always fun.
But once Mike went down though, I took Bob out on my turn. It was very quick. And I think it was if I'm remembering correctly, it was well, if you didn't do that, Bob, I was going to, but now I'm just going to,
kill you instead.
Take your throne instead. Yeah. So it worked out.
That actually lines up with something that I was really excited working with the artist, though. That thematic integration was Ilya. He actually does a web series called Drim, where it's a sentient stuffed teddy bear that's going around and fighting off the nightmares of his grown child as she sleeps now and she deals with all the anxiety of life. But so he kind of adapted that style for Button Kingdoms.
Dude, the art is so good. It is so good.
Yeah. He's absolutely fantastic. And his sketch work too is amazing. I think you guys got the more deluxeified copy. Yeah. You guys had wooden buttons.
Yeah. Look, finished.
On the standard copy, because I love all of his sketch work, the backside of the player boards is actually the sketch of those.
Oh, that's so cool.
It looks stunning.
Nice.
But that's part of how I ended up with the theme too, was one, I discovered him and I realized that I could overcome a challenge, because originally this was Merc Kingdoms. It was a generic fantasy. And because mercenaries, you're paying another person to hire those people. And, but in that I had the mythical beasts, which were cold cards from your deck. But then when I made the connection of my dog and how she destroys stuffed animals, I realized that, like, hey, there's how I can make that connection there and still have this mechanic that I wanted with some thematic integration. So just to clarify something, the dragon card in here, that's a girl dragon. Don't be calling my dog a boy.
Oh, snap. Oh. Now we've done it. We got to pull that video. Pull the
You can
video.
see her in the cover.
That was one thing I really appreciated, was definitely that player board art, because it's functional, but the map in the background, I always like maps when they're incorporated, but how these are essentially a tree house, a pillow fort, you know,
Like
a
the
playground.
Yep.
I really appreciated how it incorporated the toy theme into each one of these player boards that are unique from each other.
And
Cardboard
this one actually goes back to my grandfather. That was what he used to do before I was 10, was he would build giant cardboard buildings out of because he was a superintendent on a construction site. So he'd have all these big boxes, and he would fill his entire living room with giant forts that he had built.
Oh, that's incredible.
That's great. These are the origin stories I live for.
Yeah, man.
That's really awesome. So, yeah, exactly, Brandon. Yeah, very, very cool. So I think your inspiration being Catan, and this game having more player interaction than probably most deck builders we've played, inspired your topic today of top 5 player interaction games. So I guess the question is, how important is that to you typically in like your concept of game design, or even like how much you enjoy games?
I cannot table in my house a game that does not have player interaction. And that has to do just with the people who I'm surrounded with. I do really enjoy games that don't have player interaction. I have a lot of fun with them, but it's so much easier to table. And really, when I think about games and when I think about what games are supposed to be, to me, games are things for people to come together. A math puzzle is awesome. A math puzzle is fun. A math puzzle challenges your brain. A math puzzle does not bring people together, in my experience. It's you spent 3 hours in the same room, but did you really get to know who that person was across the table from you? But having player interaction and seeing how you guys end up working with each other, you end up making memories with each other. Outrun the Bears got a lot of player interaction, and it's got player interaction that our family plays games has ended up bringing up 2 years after it happened, when the husband threw the wife under the bear. And this is hopefully some of the same, but with a more capital G gamer focus than Outrun the Bear had.
Sure.
Yep.
Yeah, this is definitely more of a step in that direction, right? Like Outrun the Bear is not like a party game, but it's kind of a party game. Yeah, it's like definitely adjacent, right? Like a step to the left of it, maybe. But yeah, Button Kingdoms definitely felt like, oh, I'm gonna sit down. We're like sitting down and we're playing like a game, but without, like I don't know. It was very interesting without being overly complicated. I guess,
it hit Mike's CPR rating pretty good.
Yeah, the rules per crunch.
Crunch per rule.
Crunch per rule.
Crunch per rule. Light on rules, but a lot to consider on your turn. I appreciate games like that.
Nice.
Sweet.
That's a fun metric.
Yeah.
So, Mike, you were leading us that way. You ready to get into these top 5?
I am. I love player interaction games because, again, that's what I do for a living. I interact with people. Always reading people and trying to figure out what they're thinking, what they're going to say, what motivates them, what gives them an emotional response. So I gravitate towards these games that have interaction, but I also love my crunchy head down Euros as well. But I find these are the games more often than not that I'm trying to add to my collection for sure.
Well, you just get them
So-
played more often, my
Yes.
opinion.
So yeah, definitely
well-
excited to cover games with player interaction.
So we'll start with Bob, then me, then Sam, then you.
That is correct.
Typically the order.
Just making
I
sure.
guess I'll give us our official segue. We always start with Bob's number 5.
All right. So my number 5. So some quick caveats. Everybody knows I love skirmish games. Skirmish games are very player interactive. I left them all off my list. So because I could have listed off 5 skirmish games, right?
Mhm.
And been okay with that. But I left them all off the list.
Yeah.
There's also one that's going to be coming out later this year that I abided by the normal BGR rule. If it's not out yet for the public, I don't put it on your list unless it's anticipated or something like that. But it will be out later on, and I'll mention that in the honorable mentions. But anyways, my number 5 is a game that I love. I take it everywhere I go. It has such great player interaction. You get to pick people up, throw them into a volcano. I'm talking about The Downfall of Pompeii.
Yes.
It's one of my favorite games of all time. It needs to be reprinted. And yeah, your first half of the game, you're playing cards and you're just cramming each other, into these rooms. And depending on how many people you have in the room with you, you get to bring more people into the city. But then the lava starts to flow and you're running them over with lava. You're throwing people into this volcano, and it just makes just such great player interactions. We had Andrew, BGR guy, who's friend of the show, his daughter was throwing him in the volcano, and just the joy that she had to pick her dad up and toss him in the volcano. It's great to watch. So
I love this game. It's so good.
yeah,
It is a modern classic for sure.
yeah,
It's awesome. I definitely need more volcanoes on my tables.
Yeah.
yeah,
Every game should have a volcano now, I think.
yep,
This one was originally Mayfair Games.
yeah. Mayday games, right? Or Mayfair?
No, not Mayday.
Mayfair.
Fair.
And then it was
Z-Man?
Amigo, I
Oh,
think.
Amigo.
Yeah.
There you go. Yep.
Yeah.
Hopefully it gets
This
a reprint, but yeah, box art's terrible.
It would be really cool to see this one get like a re-theme with some updated art, expanded to 5 or 6 players. This game's great.
Yep.
The tricky thing
Okay.
with that game is you don't need the like cubes are great. Like you don't need anything other than the cubes.
Oh
know.
yeah.
Thanks, Nix. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need the cubes. The cubes are great. They're perfect.
Yep.
All right.
Yeah, it's a great game. I figured it was going to make your list. I just left it as an honorable mention.
Yep. Nice.
It's really good.
Awesome.
And Andrew's got a copy now, so
Yeah.
there you go.
Great.
There you
The
go.
ultimate family game is having your kids chuck dad
Chuck
into
you in
the
the volcano.
volcano.
That's it.
Let me
That's
in.
As far as I'm concerned, you always got to make a sound effect when you do so.
Well, what I'm saying, what is in print, which you could get, is another ultimate family game. Is like chuck your family in front of a bear. Just saying.
There you go.
I'm not for no particular reason, right?
And for no particular reason, my new publishing company is going to be Around the Volcano Games.
Yeah. All right. You guys ever have a game that player interaction actually ruins it for you?
Ooh.
It's number 5. Could be Foundations of Rome.
Tim notoriously not a fan.
That's my fake. That's my fake number 5. Listen, I love Emerson Matsuuchi, and that game is really well made. But the trading module in that game is the stuff of nightmares for me. I loathe it with a passion. Anyways, but no, for real, I'll just go with the one that I was talking about that Button Kingdoms kind of gave me some vibes from, and that is the Game of Thrones board game, because you are assigning those orders secretly, and you could say whatever you want to say, like, hey man, I'm just
Oh, I'm not going to attack over here.
I'm not attacking over here. You know,
we need to team up and hit Mike.
Yes, which is also true. We probably do need to team up and hit Mike. But if I can get you to hit Mike and then I hit you because you just moved all those units out of there.
Well, his troops out. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoops. Man, that's crazy how that worked out.
Oops, all right.
Yeah. Yeah. The level of player interaction in this game is great. You cannot turtle and win. You have to kind of wheel and deal. You have to make alliances. You have to break alliances if you want any chance of winning. So just for this game I love because this is one of those ones that we just come away with stories every time, you know, and I don't know. Honestly, I don't know if I've ever even won this game because I usually get betrayed a turn before I can win. And I'm never mad at it. Like I'm mad at my friends for doing that because they're dirtbags. But
I just have this knife that's full of backs, you know?
Yeah, but at the same time, it's like I kind of have to respect it because I was about to betray you.
I was just about to stab you in the back.
Yeah. You just beat me to it. I'm only mad because you beat me to it. Yeah. So, you know, but again, like, so that those button kingdoms, like when Sam said, like, games of player interaction, and I was thinking about his game because, you know, you think about like, oh, well, why would they pick that? Well, duh, right? You know, his two games both are highly player interactive. And then I was just like, yeah, that vibe, that same sort of mechanism in the game, I just really like, especially when you can pull it off. And it makes for some really good tense moments. And we had that in Button Kingdoms. You know, like, oh, I really want to try to get this card. And I knew that if I could tank that card, like, so Bob couldn't get it, you know, or whatever, like, that's awesome. So same thing with sort of Game of Thrones. It's like, man, you just timing those maneuvers, right? And the way you place your orders and even the bids, you know, the bidding and like hitting people's supply lines. There's so many different things you can do in this game. And you cannot play this game with thin-skinned people. But holy crap. Yeah, you can once. That'll be it. So, but yeah, Game of Thrones had to be my number 5.
Yeah, good pick, Tim.
Cool. I will yield. I yield the podium to the honorable Sam.
So mentioned my number 5 earlier. That's going to be Catan. Like I mentioned earlier, I was studying this game for a couple months, and I was studying it specifically because I did not like Catan at the time. Mm-hmm. To me, Catan was a game of luck and king making. And then during that time of studying it and seeing how professional players engage with it, I realized there really is a lot more there. The interaction that like I really love now that I appreciate it is actually what comes because of the tension of being able to block people out of resources. With cutting off roads and making trades and deals along those lines, instead of just being like, oh, this is just a game about trading resources.
Right.
And the threats that come with the development cards, being able to represent different strengths, different weaknesses during that time. And all of that kind of comes together in a way that when you focus on the table talk, and not just the I will trade you, and focus on the extortion and the bribery and the trying to make sure that your resources aren't hit by over trading and things like that. I really realized that there's a lot more there that I just hadn't appreciated because all I had seen before was just that surface. And there really is so much that doesn't get appreciated now that I've studied it and really looked into what it has to offer.
I out of this group, I probably am the one that enjoys Catan the most. I do prefer Starfarers. I think that is.
I think that's the superior version.
That is the best version. It fixes a few things. It speeds it up a little. Yeah, but I could see those pro Catan players. They want it to be that grind, right? Because you need those strategies to be able to play out and evolve. Because I mean, early on in our gaming careers, right? Bob and I kind of ascended at about the same time because we were in the same game group and we played Magic together and role-playing games together and stuff. And Catan very quickly turned into a, well, you're the leader, I'm not trading you anything, and then you're just kind of hosed, until the die rolls work out. Yeah. But I mean, I don't know, for whatever reason, by no means am I even close to like a pro level player, but I have found enough in the game and in the strategies of the game to be able to have a good time and be sort of competitive. But oh geez.
I like Catan quite a bit as well, because negotiation is what I do for a living. So I really appreciate the opportunity to trade things with people and see what they're willing to give up for something that I really need. Having not played Starfarers and a tie to Tim's last pick, I really enjoyed the Brotherhood of the Watch, the Game of Thrones.
That's a good one. That's a really good one. The Walls.
I like Sam, have you tried this version?
No.
This one's got like this semi-cooperative element where you're actually also defending the wall here and trying to keep the wildlings from breaking across, because if they do, they'll actually destroy some of your cities. So an additional way to gain points is to spend resources to put these guards up at the top of the wall, which will actually score you points for each one you have. But they also serve a purpose in defending the wall and keeping those wildlings on the other side and not destroying your cities. Cool. But I really like the player interaction in Catan quite a bit. I think trading is a great underused mechanic, personally.
Or you have to use it. I mean, I guess you don't have to, but you should use it.
In games in general,
sure.
Trading, every time there's a game with trading, I'm just immediately interested in what this game has to offer.
How do you feel about forced trading? Just kidding.
Okay, Foundation's a Rome hater.
Hey, I just very positively reviewed a different Emerson Matsuchi game.
No, you won't get any backlash on the Catan love here. I still enjoy Catan. And I got into it pretty late in the hobby, so I still find Catan a fun game.
Yeah, I'm with Tim with the Starfarers, but I feel like getting the cards helps us speed it up a little bit. And then, because so many times you'd be like, oh, well, I'm on like a 6 and a 5, so those numbers should hit, right? Nope. Some people are rolling under 8s and 9s and 10s and 4s. And so even though you have decent numbers, you don't get any resources, and that can really kind of feels bad. So if Starfarers kind of fixes that until you're able to kind of like move out and diversify more, and then hopefully, get on more numbers so that you're getting stuff every time.
Yeah. So if you're in the lower victory point areas, you
get free resources each time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Pablo, I actually left Foundations as an honorable mention because of how much we bring it up on our channel. I love the game, and the main reason is because buying a property that someone else wants and then trading it to that player for something that I want is one of my favorite things about the game.
Yeah. Hold on. Trading is fine.
Not trade it, I'll just take it.
That's the part I have a problem with.
Trade.
It's included in the same module, which sort of feels tacked on, but it's... Emerson Matsuchi is a lot smarter than me, so I shouldn't say that. So
I have loved every one of his other games that I've ever played. That's the only one.
Yeah,
they can't all be bangers, Tim.
Listen,
I've enjoyed every one of his games that I've played, no question.
All right, Mike.
Great pick. Still love me some Catan, no question. Okay, so this one kind of actually, this is my hipster pick of the night, I guess, because this is an out-of-print TMG game, but I don't care because I've really enjoyed this one. And earlier this week, actually it was this weekend, while I was sick, I watched on Netflix Madoff, the Monster of Wall Street, which is a documentary about Bernie Madoff, who ran a Ponzi scheme, and people were literally donated billions of dollars to his hedge fund, which he never invested at all. He literally just used it to buy himself mansions, and he was never caught when he was investigated by the SEC, which is even crazier. But this led me to my number 5, which is called Ponzi Scheme. Ponzi Scheme is a fantastic and unique bidding game. And what you're actually doing in this game, we're all like billionaire investors, I suppose. And we're going to start each round by grabbing a tile from the top here. The top is, we're all going to start with a certain amount of money. The big number is how much money we're going to get right up front. So I can take $17 by taking that card. But see, what happens is you're going to take that 17 and you're going to slot it into the third spot away from the arrow. The arrow designates the current round. Well, the number at the bottom is how much interest you have to pay when it becomes that round. See, this is a Ponzi scheme. You're never going to pay back the interest. It's always going to be too much for you to afford. This game ends as soon as somebody runs out of money, because we're all going to run out of money in this game. But who's going to do it first? And so why this game has so much player interaction is in the second phase of the game, where you take these little chips. There's 4 different colors. And what you're going to do is you're going to make somebody a blind offer for one of these chips. These chips are the primary way to score in this game. The more of them you have, the more points you're going to score. And the more of each color you're going to have, the more points you score. So there's a set collecting element here. So I can say I put $20 into my little envelope and I hand it to Bob, and he goes, okay, do I want to sell my blue chip for $20? Dang, I might run out of money this round. So yeah, I'll sacrifice some points because I really need that $20. But the other option you have is that you pay me $20 and you keep your blue chip. So this just keeps going around and around until somebody runs out of money and the game ends. And I just love these games where you're making these offers to people and you're watching them squirm and you're seeing them sweat and you're trying to figure out who's going to run out of money next based on the expression on their face. And it just gets more and more tense as the game goes along and the interest become due. And you become to one of these rounds where you got to pay $102 worth of interest. All right, maybe I'll offer Bob $80 for that chip because I know he really needs the money this round because he's got $102 worth of interest due this round. Ponzi scheme plays like nothing I have ever played. And that blind bidding aspect, I think, is better than what QE from All Play offers. And this game just has always stuck with me because of how brilliant it is.
Haven't played it.
Haven't played it.
Me either. But it sounds really cool.
It's a little bit of a hidden gem. It's very unique, but unfortunately, it did get reprinted. This is like new box art from. This is a publisher I don't know, unfortunately. TMG originally. I'm sorry, but I don't know these other 3 publishers. So the other attempts at republishing this game apparently have not brought it to the forefront very well.
Those could also be potentially European publishers, like if they had distribution or something. But
possible. It is, also, alternate name has, language here that I don't quite understand either. But man, as far as like unique games with player interaction, this one had to make my list.
Yeah, I don't care for QE either, though.
I love QE.
Yes, Pablo's a Ponzi scheme enjoyer. So yeah, I don't like that new box art either. I mean, none of the box art was really that fantastic. Like this is, not so sure about all that. And it's barely better than like the original version.
Yeah, I mean the original was ugly as hell too. So I mean, pick your poison, I guess.
Nothing here is really doing this game any favors, but if you want a unique bidding experience, Ponzi scheme is something you should try at least once.
All right.
That's my number 5.
All right, throw it to who?
Number 4.
So my number 4, one of the more unique interactions on this, because everybody's kind of moving the same. Oh yeah, for sure. The same pieces around the board, and you're not sure why they're moving those pieces, or here or there, or they're fighting each other because you're not sure who's going for what team. Maybe you're going for the same team. Maybe you're trying to get different teams to go. But War of Whispers has such a unique way to interact with other players because there's 4 different countries and they're all vying for control of these different areas, but all your allegiances are hidden. And so you're putting your workers into these different countries around, like into the different systems around the board. And as it goes around, you take turns. You're moving armies in, you're moving armies out. Some people are moving the same ones you are, or trying to beat the same goals or different goals. And it's super unique. Like I don't think I've played another game like this.
This game's so damn good.
It's like it's a territory control, but you don't know whose team anybody's on. So it's all kind of randomized.
And the other really fun thing is those worker placement spots around the board. They do different things. So because they're different positions, like basically like different cabinet positions in the government. And so you're trying to like sneak in and infiltrate these different areas. And oh my God, this game's so good. I love this game.
Veiled Fate.
It's got a Veiled Fate vibe for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because you don't know who's on your team. Sure.
Yeah.
I have a way better time with this one than I did with Veiled Fate. I'd like to try Veiled Fate with the improved pieces and maybe a player aid, so it's easier to tell what's
where they're doing. Listen, the components are beautiful, but they're hard to decipher at times. Not correct. War of Whispers, the Veiled Fate, but the War of Whispers, their deluxe edition. Their deluxe edition's beautiful. It's great.
I definitely recommend it. It actually improves the gameplay because sometimes the pieces can kind of crowd the board and it's hard to see what's on there. But the deluxe parts actually give you those 3D cities and the towers, so it makes it easier to tell like which regions have what they have in them. So.
And then there's like a little small box expansion, and it gives you more like cards,
right? Which
then give you a little bit more variety, because those were like the 2 things we complained about when we did our review, and it was like, oh well, there's easy fixes for that, but not in a way like I say complained. I should say nitpick is probably the better way to say it, because they weren't genuine complaints like, oh, it hurts my experience. It was just like, oh, it would be a little bit better if it was like that.
And there it was.
But yeah, it's funny, Bob. I wrote down War of Whispers just in case you didn't say it, because this game's so good. I love this game.
It's just a unique take on the territory control type of game.
Well, and again, right, the manipulation aspect of it, and you can even rearrange your alliances.
You can, flip some pieces over and then change your alliance.
But you have to expose
who you're going for.
Right. It's really a great mechanic in there. It's so good.
Yeah, this is a really good one. I also like that kind of move any piece you want mechanic, and people don't actually know who you're trying to benefit kind of option that this game offers. You guys taught me this one at my house. Looks like Bob did several years back. That was my only play of it, though. This one reminds me of what
a good teacher this guy is.
Because I won by 1 point. There you go.
That's right. And I got last. So
is that
this one reminds me of one I talk about all the time, and I could have put on this list, but Imperial, where you control any country you want, but you can buy stocks, and that's ultimately the country you control. I left that one off the list, but this one's really unique too.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Great game. Love it. Sam, have you played that one?
No, I haven't. Yeah. Sadly, my number of games that are published that I've played is smaller than my number of games that are unpublished that I've played. So.
Okay. No, totally fine. Hopefully we give you some ideas.
Hipster Crown, because that's kind of getting close there.
Yeah. Well, like most of the games I play are unpublished. You guys wouldn't know about them, but they're really good. Trust me.
Right. Yeah.
You don't know about
not
the
what
version?
I was trying to say.
Wow, I did not realize this was Starling Games.
Yeah. Yep. Hey, Sam, if we're not picking on you, we don't love you, man. So you're good.
It's all good. It's part of player
True
interaction,
story.
right?
That's it.
Yeah,
it is player
right.
interaction.
That's right.
That's
So
right.
speaking of player interaction, my number 4 is a game that is I play solely for the player interaction. This is one win or lose. I don't care because the interaction is where this game sings, and I'm talking about Sheriff of Nottingham. I prefer the first edition.
Yeah,
I really do want that Disney Robin Hood one.
I got that.
Yeah.
I really want that one bad because that's one of my favorite Disney movies. Anyways,
Yep.
Me too.
but the whole bluffing aspect of this game, right? And somebody's playing the sheriff, and you've got to BS your way through there because you either want to trick them into opening your bag and counting it, or bribing them so they won't, or even sometimes bribe them so much that they are very suspicious, and then they feel like, well, I should open this up, and because he's like really trying to get away with something, and then it was actually exactly what you said. It feels so good. It feels so good every time you lie to somebody and they believe you in that game. It is like any player interaction game, right? It's very group dependent, right? You need to have a group that's going to get into it and have a good time. But most of the time when we play, we're doing bad British accents and we are hamming it up, and it's really fun. I love the hell out of Sheriff of Nottingham. Haven't played it in a little while, but
Been a while.
would play this anytime. This game's freaking great, and I really love it. And it's a crime what they did in the second edition with the artwork.
Yeah,
it is a crime.
I saw the Disney version, so I ended up picking that up. So maybe I'll bring that to PoppyCon.
Oh yeah, you should do that. But anyways, Sheriff of Nottingham, it's so good because really what you're trying to do, I guess I'll explain it because Mike explains all of his games and then gives you 30 minutes of examples. But what you're trying to do is everybody's going to take turns playing the sheriff, and you're trying to smuggle goods, past him as you go in through the gates, right? So, and you can lie, you can tell the truth. It's set collecting. There's contraband that if you get caught with, then you're paying. And I don't know. This game is just a hell of a lot of fun. And I have the illegal good promos and stuff like that too, Pablo. Yeah, it's good stuff. Sam, you were nodding. Have you played this one then?
I have played this. So this actually came up. My playtesters told me I had to play it because I wanted to play it, but I hadn't played it yet. So because of the player interaction, they told me that I had to play it, and it was going to be my number 2. Now it will also be my number 4.
Sorry, Sam.
No,
Sorry.
It's all good. No, it's absolutely awesome. I've only been able to table it once, but yeah, like you said, that bluffing your way through there and just trying to manipulate the sheriff is just so much fun.
It's just 3 apples, sir. Please.
Yeah. and 5 gold. Nothing to see here. You should just let me through. And then when they open up that thing, you let them through because they give you some coin, and you're like, oh yeah, I got the good end of this. So you see them pull all those cards out of that sack.
Like,
what the hell, man? I trusted you. I'm glad you had a good time with this, Sam. I'm glad we had what you knew.
Nice crossover.
It's a great freaking game, though. I absolutely love it. Hopefully, do you have the first edition, or do you have second edition, or do you have the Disney one?
I think I have second edition, and I bought it after I played it. So I played it at PAX after I got the recommendation, and then I just bought it actually last week.
Okay.
Got around to just picking it up from a local game store.
Oh yeah.
Yep. Looking forward to playing it more.
Yeah. Good stuff. Good stuff. All right, Mike. Well, now it's to you.
Okay. My number 4. Here's a good one from an indie publisher that actually came out last year.
Oh, hipster.
We played this at HughesCon with a few people in the chat here. It's a semi-cooperative game from Ludimus Games called We're Sinking. this is such a unique game, and I'm going to tell you how it works because otherwise I can't explain why I like it. Uh, so in We're Sinking, we're all pirates, and we're trying to prevent our boat from sinking. And so what we're actually doing is we're going to do some action selection, and we do that with this little dial here. And so we're going to put the action that we're going to perform on our little dial here, and then we are going to put it face down. Thing is, we're all going to chat about what we want to do because really we want to keep that boat afloat. But the thing is, you can lie about what you're actually going to do. And so we're going to take our little cylinders here that we're choosing our actions with, put them under the action that we proposed we were going to do. Then we're going to flip them over and see who was honest. Now, the thing is that anybody that lied, as soon as your action is exposed, it gets moved into the column. And if it is the only action marker in that column, you get a bonus. And so there's an encouragement in this game to actually be the only person in one of these action columns. And the thing is that there's like several different win conditions that make this game so interesting. One of them is that the boat actually does sink. And so we're just all swimming. So if the boat sinks and we're all swimming, the person that wins is the person holding the least number of treasure cards because you're the lightest and you're the most buoyant. But if we actually shoot the Kraken and save our ship from sinking, then the person that wins is the one that has the most treasure in their hand. So there's this really interesting dichotomy of lying to people about the actions you're going to take and loading up on cards without them being suspicious that you're loading up on cards. But the problem is that the boat sinks, all those cards aren't going to do you any good. So there's a great amount of player interaction talking about the actions you're going to do and fooling people into why you're loading up on cards and not trying to actually sink the ship in doing so. I found this game just really unique, and the amount of like table chatter that goes on this is exactly what I want in a game that has player interaction.
I was going to say, I remember hearing you guys play this game at QSCon.
That's how you know we were having a good time, right? If you could hear us playing it, you know we were having a good time.
Right.
Yeah, it was really good.
I'll be honest, this was another one, Joseph Frederick, another indie publisher, who we just approached at Gen Con because I was interested in the description of his game. And sure enough, I found this one really enjoyable. And I would actually really like to play this one again.
Yeah, me too. I play it, period.
Also, fantastic ship. As this thing actually starts to get hit by the Kraken or loses water, because one of your action is bailing water out of the boat, and you need to do it a lot because it's going to load up with water. You actually take a piece off the bottom of the ship, and it actually looks like more of the boat is sinking into the water. Really great actual component there.
Yeah.
Wow, one with wash. That looks awesome.
Yeah, I remember when they were on Kickstarter and I first saw that the way that boat worked, and I'm like, that's just stunning. That's that's such a brilliant idea. It is, yeah.
This is a really fun game. I enjoyed it quite a bit. All right, that wraps up the number 4s. Let's get back to Bob's number 3.
Number 3. So I remember it was funny. I think the first time Mike saw this game in my collection, he was like, that is the most boxware I've seen on any of your games whatsoever. Because I take it everywhere I go. And it's got some unique interaction to where it's your turn. And if you take the Explore the Depths action, everybody else is getting dibs on these cards before you even have a chance to take it. But Abyss is a really fun game where you're collecting these allies, you're putting them in your hand, and then you are then recruiting lords. But like I said, as you explore the depths, before you get a chance to take that card, everybody else gets a chance to give you pearls to buy those cards before you get dibs on that card. And I just find that really interesting. There's not a lot of games that do that. And this game is light enough to where, like, my mom and dad love this game. That's why it's got my box has so much wear on it, because I used to take it with me like every time I went to visit them, and we would play it all the time. It's got great art, and the expansion is really good too.
Yeah, I need that expansion, the Black Pearl expansion.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game's really good. Bruno Cathala, really cool, unique game. I forget what list this was on before, Bob, that we were talking about, but you had it on a list, and we were.
I did. It wasn't art. It was something else.
Right. Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, I don't remember what list it was, but yeah, I talked about it recently. And actually, I mean, I got to play it not that long ago, and but it still comes out in his table. Like Tim was saying, he I remember buying this game, and I sent Tim a message, and he's like, "Stop by the house," because he was close to the game store, and I stopped by his house, and we busted it out and played it right away.
Yeah.
And
we learned it. We learned it the day you bought it. We punched it and played it. That was early on. God, that was like 2013, 2014. That was pretty.
It was when it first came out. So
yeah.
I was so late to the party on this one because you taught me this one at a meetup last year, and it's great. It is held its spot very well, aged incredibly well.
Yeah.
My biggest disappointment was I wasn't able to get the box cover I wanted.
Box cover you wanted? Yeah. I got the green one all the way on the left there. That's the one I got.
The lady?
Yep, that's the one I have.
Oh, you do?
Mm-hmm.
I've got the one all the way to the right.
Yeah.
That's the one I think is most frequent or most common.
Yep.
So, Bob, you have that one then?
Correct.
Gotcha. Yeah,
I get it for you, but it's packed in the bag for PoppyCon already. So
there you go, already ready to go.
This is getting a reprint with new art.
And I noticed too, they're putting on the board a spot to put the different locations that you get. Because normally I would just set them out next to the board. They're actually going to have a spot to lay out a marketplace for them. So
that's cool.
Brandon's got a great question that we should address.
So yes,
but
there's an option on there to auto pass. And I do that while we're playing anyway. I always say, as I flip over, these ally cards, if it's a 1 or a 2, I'm just going to blow by it. If you want one, speak up. And then I usually at a 3, I'd stop and ask people. Because what happens is, on BGA, as you're flipping them, there is an option to auto pass on different numbers for different suits. And you want to make sure you turn that on because that will make the turns go much quicker. Because if you don't do that, then every one that flips over, you have to wait for everybody to pass. You flip over another one, you got to wait for everybody to pass. But as long as you have the auto pass on things, then and you can do it by suit. So if you're like, man, I don't care if it's a 1 or 2, but I need a crab people, so you can just leave the crab people, open.
Right.
And,
But that mechanic is also where most of the player interaction comes from. And what makes this game so unique is flipping the cards off that deck, and everybody else gets to pick from that reveal before you do. But yeah, if you auto pass on BGA, it definitely does speed it up. And if you don't, it can drag on, unfortunately. But most drafting games on BGA can drag a little bit. So it's really nice.
Play live. It's fine. It works good.
Yeah.
But it's just that if you're playing the turn base and waiting for people to take a turn, Mike, then it can really take a long time for games to get done.
Clicks on BGA shortcut.
Facts. Mike can take his turn while I'm talking about my number 3. This game is probably the only I had to pick one of this style of game, right? It's a hidden role game, and stuff like that. These are always very high player interactions, but one of my favorite ones is Secret Hitler. With the fascists and the liberals, and just the way the couple of different ways you can win, the way that you're voting through the policies, all really interesting. Lots of strategy there, and I remember when this game first came out, we always had to play it, and I was fine with that. But it was. And I've got the wooden box one, I kickstarted it, got the nice one. But yeah, man, in 2016 or whatever, when this came out, 2015, 2016, when this came out, everybody's losing their damn minds over this game. I haven't played it a ton lately, but we've been talking about it again. And I'm like, I need to play this game again. It's really fun. I just really like it fixes, what some of the problems with just a werewolf game has, right? Or Mafia, where it's just like, well, I heard Bob's chair squeak, or Sam, you were talking about this, and Bob and I are definitely victim of this, especially earlier on in our game hobby was, oh, well, those guys are the experienced gamers. We should just gang up on them, right? So it's like we would play Werewolf or Mafia, and it's like, well, kill Tim or Bob first. And it's like, well, okay, that was fun. But with like Secret Hitler, there's just so much more strategy and nuance to it, right? Without being overly complicated. I think it's still really easy to explain, and for people to understand. And it also does like a game that I do not enjoy, but has some similar mechanics as like the Resistance, which I do not like. But I don't know, Secret Hitler, it just does it for me. It does it. It's really fun. And I love the vibe, the art style, and the player interaction. I think it's all really good. Pablo, have not played Feed the Kraken, but I've heard good things.
Love social deduction games. Secret Hitler still hits my top 100 because of how much I've played it. I thoroughly enjoy this game. And worth noting, I recently made a trade. I have Feed the Kraken on the way. I've heard great things about this game, but apparently the post office is currently drunk. And this thing went from North Carolina to Cincy to Indy, back down to Dallas, Texas within 5 hours somehow, over to Tulsa, Oklahoma, and 2 days later is just now leaving that facility. I really don't know. So, hey, there he is.
Oh, Evan.
Hey, Evan.
Love social deduction. Kind of crazy I didn't put any on this list, but I do talk about them a lot, so I left them off.
I feel like I just
a little indie design that is in a similar vein that I didn't put on my list because I couldn't figure out how to talk about it, and now I wish that I did because Tim told me how to talk about it.
Oh, you're welcome.
The Last Summit.
I don't know about that one.
It's very small, very indie. He only made 250 copies, and actually before he went to Kickstarter, he happened to know that he was only going to make 250 copies.
Oh.
His tagline in this, when he talks about it, I don't know if it's on the BGG, but there's no traitor in the game except for the one in your heart. So everyone has the potential to become a traitor. It's fun. It's similar vein. If you can find a copy, I happen to own copy number 1 out of 250.
Oh, hipster!
He's coming for the hipster title, Tim.
He gonna have it. I'll get it back next week when he's not here.
There you go
to defend it.
No, it's cool. He did some similar things that pulled some inspiration.
That's cool though. No, I again though, right? If you can take what I think is a really fun. Like way before I was into board games on like the hobby level. I mean, in the early 2000s, multiple times a week for hours and hours and hours. Now, we never played Werewolf. We always called it Mafia. We played Mafia, right? But it's the same game. And we would just get out a deck of playing cards. Everybody's got drinks and we're just playing Mafia for hours and trash talking. So to take that game, right, like evolve it, gamify it a little bit, actually give it some legitimate strategy. Anytime somebody can do that in a really fun way, like hell yeah, let's go. So I definitely respect that. So The Last Summit, huh?
Mm-hmm.
I need to look that bad boy up.
Yeah, check it out sometime.
Yeah, Pablo, that actually totally works for me. I do love Secret Hitler, and I don't own it. So I'm totally good with just having a rethemed version of it. That sounds great.
All right. That's going to take us down to...
No, Sam's got to do his 3.
Thanks.
Okay, yeah. Sorry, my number 3. So I've never done top 5 lists, guys.
You're good.
That's all right.
No. So my number 3. One of the things that I like about player interaction is the only mechanic that doesn't exist in a vacuum between games, well, other than your legacy type stuff. But because of that, I wanted to list a game that really exemplifies bringing in the memories of the last game into that game, and that's going to be Coup. It does have player elimination. I know that's not everybody's thing, but because of how quick the game is, and because you're able to remember just who came after you going into that next game, playing through for a night leads to a lot of revenge. When I table it. Also, it's very easy to table with casual.
Yes.
So I'm
Coup is a much better version of Resistance.
But yeah. Yeah. So it's definitely got some fun stuff, and especially the expansion that extends it to 8, where you're initially on teams and then you're like paying to flip people over on their teams. That's the way that I really enjoy it when playing with, especially the non-gamers that I have around me.
I like that, Mike. Where's that? Almost to the very right. The art style. It looks like the Van Helsing art style.
Yeah. That does look like Weberson Santiago art right there.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
I like that art style.
Mm-hmm. Sam, have you played Coup Rebellion 54?
No, that sounds very specific.
Ton of rolls to this.
I've only played Coup and Resistance, and I thought Coup was better by a million, personally. But I think like Coup, kind of like the game Masquerade, like it just has more gamey stuff to it. Instead of just having like one person potentially like take over and bully the whole group, into doing stuff, which was my problem with the Resistance.
I'm really just curious. Okay, I was going to say, yeah, he is credited with some of the art. It's got to be that newer version here that you were pointing out, Bob. Yeah, these are totally Weberson.
Yep.
Yeah, cool art.
Yeah,
I need to get better at remembering. Like I can see it, but remembering names is always hard for me.
He's one of my favorites, so I just can't forget anything that I just spotted immediately.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Mike.
Cool.
Yeah, this one's fun. I haven't played it in a long time, though.
We can skip Mike.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, Bob tried to skip half the game.
Well, Mike was talking about your game so much for a second there. I thought it was his.
Okay. I guess let's talk about another old game that's been out for a really long time. Here's my another hipster pick. This game originally came out in 1992. This has got a few rethemes and a few reprints. The version I've got is from SEMA, not an indie publisher, but that's all right. Little guy named Reiner Knizia. I'm not sure if you've heard of him.
Oh boy, here we go.
I love auction games and I love bidding, and I think one of the best ones is Modern Art. This is such a simple auction game, but it just really works incredibly well. You're just going to be dealt a whole hand of these art pieces, and then you're going to put a piece of art up for auction. But every piece of art has a different auction style. Some of them are like blind bid. Everybody's just going to immediately like simultaneously bid once. Some of them are just the standard auction you're used to, where everybody just keeps going until somebody passes. And there's just multiple different. This is a totally different version than I've seen. There's CMON versions that actually come with an actual gavel. Somehow I got screwed out of that one. Mine does not come with a wood gavel. It's got like a cardboard gavel. But what's interesting is that at the end of each round, the artists, the cards are categorized by the artist that created them. And whichever artist, that's actually what's on this board up here, whichever artist had the most paintings sold that round, they're worth the most money. And so you're actually trying to buy more of the artists that are being bought that round. And so the money you pay to buy those paintings, you're hoping that you don't pay as much as what they're going to give you back at the end of the round, because at the end of the round, you're going to get money based on how they rank compared to the other artists. I just find that this, as far as like straight up flat auction games go, I just think this one hits the spot more than a lot of others do. And I just really love auction games. It goes all the way back to me playing Masterpiece back when I was a kid, which is like an old like Milton Bradley game. An auction version of Comic Hunters, maybe.
I mean, are there
because every
different?
card, there's like 4 different types of auction, and in
So,
Comic
yeah.
Hunters, there's like 5 different types of drafting. Yeah, I
Yes.
could see that. Set collecting, trying to get the ones that are most common.
Mhm.
I could see that. But yeah, I just thoroughly enjoy modern art. I like bidding. I like auctioning. And in auction games, every player is always involved in every single turn. And I just really enjoy that. Maybe the only one that's played this one. And that's okay.
I haven't played. I'm not big on auction games. So
it is on my radar of a game that I need to check out. I keep hearing about it all around the place, but I just haven't played it yet.
This is the more modern version. It's definitely got a more modern art style to it.
Hey yo.
Hey. But yeah.
So we probably could have skipped Mike.
Yeah, probably so. Yeah, there's a Korean version that does look amazing. You're right about that, Pablo. There's a following that this game's got. I mean, it's only ranked 217 on BGG, so I'm not the only one that likes it here, guys. So
well,
we get it, Mike. Yes. Your picks are really good. Blah blah blah.
You guys love to give me crap, but this is why I'm the people's mic, damn it. So
it's because you gotta have something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess I got
all his bots, like in his accounts and stuff.
That's right.
I also just also conveniently have worked at an auto auction for 8 years, and I just so happen to love auction games, but still it goes all the way back to Masterpiece when I was a kid.
I think we're gonna have to put Mike is in sales. That's why he likes Game X on your bingo cards. Now I think that's gonna have to be a new thing.
Sales, auction games, yeah, true story.
Bob and I are also in sales, Mike. You're not the only one.
I mean, I guess technically I am now.
I know. Bob's a salesperson now. I should have seen this coming. Ooh, I love recommendations. Capone, I haven't even heard of this. What the heck?
As in Al?
I would assume, but maybe.
No, it's Cap 1, Bob.
Cap 1?
Cap 1. Is this a camel up, camel cup?
Capone. No, it's a type of pasta.
All right. Let's go to number 2. While Mike researches Capone, let Bob get to number 2.
It's already up.
Yeah, I knew it.
Number 2.
All right, so my number 2, we just played it recently. We had a blast. It is probably the racing game I played with the most player interaction, especially with the new Carnival of Chaos expansion. But Thunder Road Vendetta is a fantastic racing game where you're constantly interacting, smashing into each other, knocking each other into like hazards, or doing the demolition style and trying to knock each other out. You're shooting each other. We had a blast with this. We taught even some people who are not typically gamers how to play this game, and they had a bunch of fun with it. And it's just the components are top notch. Like, it's really good. If you can get the Maximum Chrome Edition, I definitely recommend it because everything fits all in that box. But yeah, this is a great game. So I would say lots of player interaction with racing, shooting, ramming, and chaos.
What's crazy to me, Bob, because I wrote this down also, I've got an alternate, so I'm not going to use it, but I could have. And it would have been my number 2. I could have used it.
Nice.
But could be specifically because I think the Carnival of Chaos took a game that I genuinely love, top 50 game for me, and somehow made it better.
Yeah.
Because instead of it changed it from being a race, which was arbitrary, like the theme to Scout, but it then became like a demolition derby, which is what it really just embraced what this game really is and should be. And this game is so much fun. It's bonkers. It's bananas. Also, kind of like Game of Thrones. Like, do not be thick-skinned about this because your cars are going to get wrecked. And I, even playing the regular version, I have destroyed my own cars trying to do stupid shit. And I, but it's worth it. It's worth
catch myself on fire because I go faster.
Yeah, like, oh, I need to do this. Oh, whoops. Or I'm gonna ram you because I'm gonna try to knock you into this thing and kill you. Whoops, I knocked myself into it. Now I'm dead. Well, it was hilarious.
It was so fun.
Don't care. But yeah,
the big rig with like 3 helicopters strafing him, trying to take him out before he can get down. That was a good time.
Oh my god! But the Carnival of Chaos did a really good job of sort of shifting the dynamics a little bit without changing the rules that much.
Right.
Like the only rules change that they implemented were all sort of very intuitive. And just made sense because originally you're only able to drive in a straight line. Well, now you kind of have to be able to turn. So you've got to make that make sense. And they do a really nice job of that. And they just took a game that was absolutely bananas and super fun and cranked it up from up to 11, to use
I just love that interaction of, do you want to shoot Mike? Yeah, I want to shoot Mike. All right, cool.
Well, and one of the things I loved was that when we were playing this, right, and we're playing it with the non-gamers, and I don't remember if it's Nika or if it was Jazz, but it's like, oh, I don't want to, Tim, I'm going to attack you. I'm like, don't feel bad, like because they almost sounded hesitant, and I'm like, no, like bring it on. That's what you're supposed to do. Like, bring it. Let's go, right? Just trying to. Anyways, I'm the kind of guy anyway that will like encourage that chaotic behavior, but in a board game specifically. But but also like, hey man, like no, that's the idea because what's going to happen is I'm going to attack you in a minute, so you better have a good time attacking me because it's coming back, and it's not even retaliation. It's just you're right there, It's like, but even if it was, well, you attack me, so now I'm just going to spend the whole game attacking you. You can do that,
okay.
But like, I mean, we were all over the board playing this, and it is just always such a damn good time. And the Carnival of Chaos really just, I don't know, they
Thunderdome kind of.
Yeah, man. Yeah, they did a great job. It's great, and I think the player interaction of this is, I mean, it's integral to the game. It's
if you couldn't ram and shoot people, this game would suck.
Yeah, agreed. It'd be like, what this game needs is to be the ability to ram and shoot people.
That's right. Yeah.
All right. Great pick. All right. So I'm going to pivot then. I'm going to pivot off a Thunder Road. And I'm going to just go to a very basic game that I've not talked about in a long time. But this game is only player interaction. You literally have to interact with players to win this game. And everybody likes to give me a hard time for loving Happy Salmon, but Happy Salmon is 100% player interaction. It is so much fun. It is a minute and a half of chaos, whether you are playing the regular version where you are saying what you need to do, or you could play the silent version if you're playing with like grumpy people that don't, or you're playing around grumpy people that don't want all the noise. But basically what everybody does is they have the same deck of cards in their hand, and that's the one I got. And you've either got to pound it, a high five, a Happy Salmon, or a switcheroo where you've got to change places. Everybody stands in a circle and you flip the top card of your deck. And you are saying what the top card of your deck is, whether it's pound it, high five, Happy Salmon, switcheroo. And so you're trying to find that person that has the same card. They're calling out the same thing you are. You high five that person. Well, now you throw that card on the floor. You flip over the next card on your deck. And now Andrew, this is a real game. Wow, I'm so blurry. So blurry in that. Oh, there we go. Yeah, we were playing Happy Salmon at Origins a few years ago. I was so excited, as you could tell. I could tell. Yeah, I love playing Happy Salmon. But this game's just chaos for like 2 minutes. Not even that. Evan, I can't help it if I dematerialize. I don't have control over my superpowers. I just have superpowers. But yeah, so you play this game and you throw your cards on the ground and you're done. You get through your deck and you're done. But you play this with kids, you play this with adults, you play this with whoever. And as long as people are, good sports, it's over in a minute. So even if you don't like it that much, it's like it's almost done. It's almost done. But yeah, you can I could explain the game. If Mike had literally started the video as I was explaining it, the game would be done before I was finished.
Winston.
This game is super dumb. You can get it for like $5 at a Five Below. You get like either the Happy Salmon or the Hoppy Salmon, which is the Easter version. I have the North Star Games version, which is in a neoprene fish, and I also have Hoppy Salmon, which came in the box. But yeah, I really enjoy the hell out of this. It's super fun. It's all player interaction, right? You're just running around. You're trying to get people to high five you, so you can get rid of those cards. Oh, Spencer won that game, so that sucked clearly. And his novel business is going fine. He just started like another Kickstarter. Hey, what are they playing on the table right there?
Disney Sorcerer's Arena. Remember, that's the guy that won like 2 or 3 rounds of the tournament.
That's right. He won free tickets to Gen Con.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a game store owner in like Southern California. He borrowed some of my pieces to play. But yeah, man, Happy Salmon is super fun. It's goofy. It's silly. It is 1,000,000% inane. But I don't care. I love it. Sam, sorry. Happy Salmon. I talked way too long about it, but I wanted that whole video to go. I wanted that whole video to go through. Yeah,
how
I
many
talked
times
longer.
have you played Happy Salmon while you were talking about it?
At least 3. At least 3. And playing the silent version was actually kind of fun too, because you just do the hand gesture of what you need, and then everybody's, you do the thing, and you're going. See, Brandon's got my back. He's a game designer. He likes it. Come on, I must be right about something. And then Evan, that Sorcerer's Arena game is great. I love it. For a
pros and cons on that for me.
I mean, the board's a little blah, but the game's great.
Cool combo.
Yeah, the combos are awesome. All right, Sam, I apologize.
All right.
You should.
No, why are you apologizing about being excited about a game?
Listen, man, I get excited about a lot of games.
That's awesome. So my number 2 is actually probably my wife's favorite game. It's King of Tokyo, which also makes it so it's the easiest game for me to table because it's my wife's favorite game.
That's great.
So what I really like about the player interaction, because I tend to look at games from being a game designer now, is the ability to opt out of the player interaction, and then that adding a different level of player interaction there. There is nothing I love more than being frustrating by jumping out of Tokyo right before my wife was about to kill me.
Oh, you hit me. I guess I'm coming out and you're going in. So good.
So I mean, it's been around for a long time, so I'm sure people are familiar with it, and it's a great game, but it's just the way the attacks work, the ability to opt out, and then the ability to just really push on it at the right time with the player interaction.
This game is so good.
I love that aspect about this game.
It's really good.
Yeah. It's the coolest King of the Hill that I can think of.
It's the best.
Yeah.
It's the best. And the power up, like the power cards are great. The couple of expansions are really good. The King of Tokyo Dark Edition is really good. The characters are fun. I can play this with my kids. I can play this with adults.
We just played at the Meeple meetup we just had.
Oh, did you really? Yeah.
Yep.
Nice.
Oh yeah. Great pick, Sam.
During the pandemic, we made some new friends who live in the town with us, and they got a little. They have a little daughter, so I decided I was going to drop off one of my games for them to play, and that way it would be our little connection, even though we couldn't really spend time together at that time. And I find out afterwards that like the dad was just making the daughter cry every time that they play. But they love it. So yeah. No,
hey, listen, man, you got to learn.
Yeah.
Speaking of cool production company names, Elio is one of my favorites.
It's not Elio, it's Yellow, Bob. Bob for years pronounced this the wrong way, and I've kept correcting it.
Yeah, and I will forever say
that's fair. Yeah, King of Tokyo. Man, I love this pick. What's funny, Sam, is I thought about putting this on my list because I play it a lot and really enjoy it.
It's so easy to table. It's so easy to get people into it. Like you got somebody who's never played a game and you're like, hey, do you want to be Godzilla for an hour? Or not even.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously. And then like the fun thing, really, the genius aspect of this, right, is you get in the hill and yes, you can hit. You're the only one that can be hit, but you can hit everyone. But at the same time, as the second you get hit, you can choose to come out and make that other person go in, which is so good. I love that little twist because there's times where it's like, well, I want to hit you, but I don't want to get stuck in there. So there's that, that push and pull of the, the decisions. Yeah. It's funny, Sam, is the name of Evan's autobiography. Thanks, Evan.
I gotta let Winston out right back.
You know how to make a gal feel special. Anyways, great pick though. I love this game. That's so good. So good.
Personally, I'm a King of New York guy, but they're all tons of fun. Yeah,
no, I get it, right? I think that most of the harder gamers prefer New York. There's there's another level of complexity there. And I can go either way, I will play either version.
They're all fun.
Happily. Yes.
Yeah, that's why King of New York doesn't hit my table, is because this is my wife's favorite game.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great.
You can't deny that. That's
Good work, Evan. Evan's crushing it with the jokes tonight.
Oh, good stuff.
All right, Mike.
All right. I like to negotiate when I'm playing games. And I guess I bring this up because it's the only thing I've done in my adult life. Like I've never had a job that was not sales.
Oh,
and
that bingo card, I'm like rubbing through that square. I'm just crossing it off so hard.
I know. But there's one trading and negotiating game I like more than any other, and I will bring it to every meetup I can, even if I can't play it. I just don't care. I love Chinatown.
I knew it.
Chinatown's so good. I love this game. It's like Gamers Monopoly because it's just so simple. Just give everybody a couple properties and then give everybody a number on the board and then have an open trading phase. Everybody gets to negotiate and trade any property, any number, any amount of money they want. And you can set a timer for that trading phase if you want. Go for 10, 15 minutes. Let it go on as long as you want. When everybody is finally done trading, you can place all of your properties onto the board. When you're done, there's an income phase and you're going to collect money. But the thing is, if you can get the same properties adjacent to each other and complete sets of those properties, you're going to get more money during the income phase. Some of them are sets of 3, 4, and 5. Of course, the bigger sets are worth more money. So if you can get those sets of 6 all on your side and adjacent to each other and placed on the board, you're just going to get more money for them. And it just works so well. I've played this with kids. I've played this with grandparents, and I have had a blast with this game. I've seen like the 60-year-old grandmas that are like guilt tripping people. Nobody wants to trade with me and win because everybody's trading with her, but she's guilt tripping people. I love Chinatown so much. This game is just a blast for me.
Grandmas are so evil. That's why Sam's story only involved his grandfathers, because grandmas are so mean when it comes to board games.
Me in trouble, Tim. They might watch this.
Oh no! They're all wonderful. They're angels. They're all angels.
I've only ever played this game without Mike.
which is a shame. I know. I was.
That is funny. I've never played this game with Mike either. And I have
I
played
think
this
my
game.
girlfriend was involved in that game too, and I wasn't there. Current girlfriend. Good question, Andrew. This finally got a reprint because Z-Man Games printed the original. Naturally, it's out of print because that's what they do. They don't reprint anything.
It's also
and
not a
so
company anymore.
it
Kinda
also
hard
not
to
a
reprint.
company anymore. But that was what they were notorious for the longest time. Chinatown's more hardcore. All of these properties are just four-sided. So
Dave is killing me. Oh shoot, that's so good.
that is good.
Hey, we got
Wow.
a hello from Donnie.
That was
Chinatown's a little less forgiving because this one property here, there's only 3 spots that are adjacent. Waterfall makes them hexes. And so that means properties are a little bit more forgiving. It's also a more family-friendly theme. So if all you can get is Waterfall Park, I don't think you'll be disappointed. They're all great games, but Chinatown is a little bit less forgiving in what you can trade.
Hexagons are the bestagons.
Yeah, just to show that, because I love this game so much, I've considered this. This art's definitely better. I mean, a lot more appealing here.
mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, they actually, maybe not hexagons, but the fact that there's not just 3 sides to each property,
Oh, they're
the way they
offset.
match up, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 neighbors to each property. So they just stagger them is all.
6, sir.
A lot more appealing theme for families, but it's the same concept, and it's trading properties and trying to collect sets and collecting the most income. Most money wins. I love games where most money wins. So this one just hits really well for me.
All right.
And you can literally teach it to anyone. And I have. So one of my all-time favorite games. There we go. All right, down to our number 1 all-time favorite player interaction games.
All right, so don't quote me on this, but Tim was right.
Quoting you.
A Game of Thrones is a fantastic player interaction game. That was my number 1.
Yes.
I'm not gonna go into it more because we talked about it. So instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one of my honorable mentions that I'm really looking forward to. Don't quote me on this either. Playing with Mike. But I think that because we had a chance to play this, and it was funny because we kept playing all these auction and bidding games together, and Mike was not around while we were doing this. But we got to preview Moneymaker, the Goldsmith's Tale.
That game is good.
Getting credit from people, and you can spend other people's credit to buy things, but then like your credit's going to come due for certain items at certain times. I kickstarted this. Dang it, Evan.
Playing with Mike is also the title of Bob's sex tape.
Title of my sex tape. But yeah, I have this Kickstarter. It's supposed to be coming in the next like month or 2. I'm really excited. Yes. I think Mike is going to love this game.
Oh, this game was so good. I got the prototype still.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yes. So like as you're investing, you're moving like inside into that inner circle, and like you're kind of like divesting. So if like the outsides become those debts get called in, if you've got like wood or silk or whatever, then like you have to pay back all the debts you own that are on there. But then as you become more diversified, then it's like, oh, only the wood is going to have to pay up, or only the silk. And so it just adds a really neat mechanisms to it. But like I said, the fact that you're getting credit from other people and you're spending their credit to buy things, and you're like, don't put that on that space. I don't have the money to pay for that.
Oh, dude, it was so much fun because we were playing this game, and you just come to the realization of like, this is how banking works.
Yeah.
You know? And you're just like, this is the most terrifying game I've ever played.
Yeah.
Because I'm just going to cut up your debt and sell it.
Sell it off.
I'm using it. I'm using your debt to buy these things. And it's like, no. Oh, this game was so good. This game was so good.
Definitely a Mike game.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. This game's fantastic.
Totally jelly when you guys were telling me about this game, and I didn't get to preview it.
Man, I'm tempted to just bust it back out now that we've been talking about it again. I was like, oh, this game was so good.
Yep.
Yeah, really cool European game, right? It was only out in Europe. They did a Kickstarter to basically bring it to the States.
Yep.
And
that's the States version right there that we should be getting.
Yeah, I love this game. Was so cool. This game was so cool, and really, again, eye-opening, really eye-opening. But let's not forget Bob said that I was right because of the Game of Thrones player interaction. But yeah, the way you can sell other people's debt and throw it down and use it to pay for other things, and you're like, oh, I'm so screwed. Was a really cool aspect of that.
Yeah, I was about to click on that myself. Poor apology. Title of Kelly's sex tape.
That poor lady. That poor woman has endured so much.
What you're explaining totally reminds me of why I like Ponzi scheme. These kind of games, I just love them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing, right? Where you're trying to, you can pay people off with your own debt, right? But you don't want to do that because then when they throw it down on the board, they're like, oh no, it's filling, Andrew. It's filling
right now. It kickstarted last year. We did a preview for it, and it's filling.
Anybody else I'd give a hard time, but I know Andrew pays attention. I would have been like, well, if you had rung the bell and liked and subscribed, you would have known about it when it came out.
Yeah.
Kind of like you know about Button Kingdoms, right? When it comes out, you should be paying attention.
I got the
Andrew, I'm just going to say it real quick because it's not too late. Pay attention for Button Kingdoms because that would be one you would be able to play with your daughter very easily. And I think she'd be into it because she could be mean to you and she would appreciate that. As we've discussed, as far as throwing people in in volcanoes earlier. Yeah, Evan, you heard correct. It is pretty good.
Evan has been a primary playtester in Button Kingdoms.
Listen, let's not give Evan too much credit. We need him to be bearable. Okay. No, I love Evan. I like to pick on Evan because I love him. He's such a good dude. It's one of those things. I love to tell the story about getting to meet him as a designer. Like we knew him from afar for a little while, and then to get to meet him in person, and it's like, you're such a good dude. It's amazing. Yeah, we love him. And yeah, Andrew, right. You can be mean to each other in Button Kingdoms, and that's a feature, not a bug. I mean that in a very nice way, Sam.
No, Evan's great.
Yeah, also true. Okay, so my number one, and I thought Bob was gonna have it for sure. But my favorite player interaction, because Liz, listen, if you're gonna steal properties from a player, what you do is you pay money and you make them re-roll all the dice that they've assigned to their casinos. And I'm talking about Lords of Vegas, baby. Yeah. This game is so much fun. You can trade, you can go to other players' casinos and gamble. Yes, Trevor. But the way you can do those hostile takeovers in Lords of Vegas.
We're doing it live.
Is just one of my favorite ways with the player interaction. Sam, I don't know if you played Lords of Vegas?
Nope.
So you're building this casinos on the strip. Okay. The board is basically grids, and you're going to draw a card, and it's going to tell you what property you own, and then it's up to you to build on that property. When you build on that property, you're going to choose what color casino, right? What kind of casino you're building on there. So you're going to put a tile there, and then based on where it is on the board, it's going to tell you what die value is assigned to that, right? So if it's a 3, you're going to put a 3 there. And then when a certain card comes up, that color casino is going to pay out. So if it's a red casino, whichever one that is, all of those are going to pay out, and they're going to pay out based on the number of tiles you have, things like that. now whoever has control has the highest die value in that casino. So Bob can build a casino on a property right next to mine, and he could build it as the same, like in that picture right there, that purple casino, right? Bob gets a property, but it's a 6 instead of my 3. Well, now he is in charge of that casino. So that casino is going to pay Bob instead of me because he is the boss. But I can spend money on my turn as an action. I can spend money and make, basically it's like it's $100 per pip, right? We say $1 because you just round, you just simplify it, right? So you spend $1 per pip in that casino, right? Per pip on each die in that casino, and everybody that has a die in that casino is re-rolling their dice. And so you might get the high roll there, and now even if you only had 1 die there, right, but the other player had 3 die there, you might roll a 6 and they roll a 5, and now you run that casino, and it is now potentially even more expensive to try to take over because all those die values are higher. What's terrible is when you roll a 2 and they roll a 1, and then it's so cheap for them to come back and take it the next time. But the player interaction in this game is hilarious. It's super fun. There's an expansion where you can build those levels up, so it makes it a little harder for people to take over those casinos, but it does pay out a lot more money if you can. And there's sort of there's a gambling aspect, not only with rolling the dice, but maybe you need some money to build everything you want to build or like take over. So you're going to go to somebody's casino and you're going to literally roll 2 dice, and it's going to either pay out or you're going to pay them.
And they got to cover it.
And they've got to cover the bet. So they could not cover the bet. And if they choose to not cover it, half the money goes to the bank and they get half. So there's some fun things with that. There's also you are building up, you're trying to, there's a set number of each casino card in the deck. So when those green casinos, if 7 of those cards have come out, well, there's only like a couple more in the deck. So I'm not going to build green anymore because they're not going to get drawn and they're not going to pay out near as much as maybe a purple or a blue. So I'm going to build that casino instead. So there's a little bit of push your luck, with that, trying to, hoping that the other, colors are going to come up when the cards are drawn. But this game is a classic for a reason. Bob and I were very late to the game. On this, we were taught to this by a guy named John Richard, who is an old OG YouTuber podcaster in the Indianapolis area, but was super cool to us, taught us the game, and Bob and I were immediately hooked and had to go out and find copies of this for ourselves. It was that good. But yeah, this was really fun. And all right, Evan, let's go. Old design back to the table. A zombie survival dice chucker with casino games. Zombie craps. I get that.
Sold.
You could maybe it's easier if you call it. Well, I guess because of the dice aspect, you don't want to call it zombie blackjack, right? So zombie craps.
Zombie roulette. No, it's not dice.
No, not dice. Craps. Craps is the one.
So you probably actually just told me a game that I have to buy because I am actually doing a meetup with some gamer friends from back in California that is halfway between us and them in Arizona. We are going to have a gaming weekend in Vegas, and this sounds absolutely fantastic.
Oh, Lords of Vegas is so good.
I had never even heard of the game before.
This the bougie version.
Yeah, Bob's got the one that comes in the briefcase.
Handcuff it to yourself when you walk into places.
Yeah.
Ooh, what about ship captain zombie, right? So ship captain crew.
Oh yeah, ship captain zombie. Yeah, that could work.
More verification. This one's on all 3 of our top 50s. This game is
it's a great
really
game.
Fun. Really fun.
That's a classic for a reason. It did just get a reprint, so it should be easier to get a hold of than it was before. Or at least cheaper. I should say there were always copies available. It was just how much did you want to spend?
Yeah, how much are you willing to come off of?
Yeah. But I was able to get one without breaking the bank.
Here's
Landshark Games, I believe, is the publisher, and they
Landshark? Shark?
I thought it was Land Shark Games.
Lone Shark.
Oh, it is Lone Shark. Okay,
but not loan like LOAN. It's loan as in singular.
Okay, so I've been watching too much SNL lately, but you got it. You got the idea, right? Lone Shark Games. They did a really nice reproduction of it, and I don't have it, but our friend Jason does.
Awesome.
Yeah, Evan, I got that. Landshark. Candygram.
Lone Shark.
Nope. Spaceballs. All right, that was my number one. I went on for ages about it. Sorry, Sam. It is your turn, sir.
All right, so my number one, this has been described to me before, or maybe it was in a YouTube video. I can't even remember. It's been a long time since I encountered this game for the first time. But it was described as, if you want to know what it would feel like to be a member of an incestuous oligarchy, you need to play this game. And that is the original 1970s Dune.
Yes,
dude. This game is amazing. It is so far ahead of its time, and the player interaction in it is fantastic. The combination of the asymmetric players with how the player interaction works too is also just absolutely fantastic. There's nothing more incredible than winning the game as the Bene Gesserit because you manipulated other people. Like, that is the most fantastic thing to be able to do in gaming, I feel.
It's so cool. It's so cool. What the best way to capture an IP, like genuinely capture like the theme and the spirit. Yeah, great pick. Oh my God, what a great pick.
Yeah, the combat system, there's so much tension there. You have no idea what they're going to do. The ability for them to be able to pop your traders. So, and you have to be interacting with people. That combat's going to have to happen if you want to try to win. But then just the way the alliances get forced out there and the comboing between all of that, and then the flipping of the alliances when those cards come up, the sandworms come up.
The reprint of this is really good, I will say.
It is.
They did a great job. But yeah, man, what a fantastic pick. Holy shit. This was, until the reprint came out, this was a grail game for me that I was just desperate to get my hands on. The updated version, I got it and I'm like, okay, I'm good. I don't need to break the bank trying to get that 70s version. But I tell you what, man, if I ever come across a yard sale or somebody that's just selling it for a very reasonable price, I would scoop it up in a heartbeat, because it is. I wanted this game so bad that I bought the Fantasy Flight retheme Rex, which is based in the Twilight Imperium universe, but is the same game mechanics, but they use the Twilight Imperium factions, to like sort of ported them over to represent like what you're trying to do. But as a fan of Dune, man, what a great implementation of that IP, like really is.
Yeah, this is so this game is actually my true inspiration behind Button Kingdoms. It paved a lot more than just my studying of Catan, the having to pay each other back and forth, the constant shifting alliances that are going on, the way that asymmetric player powers change your ability to trust people and their interests and change exactly what you want to be doing with them. All of that was feels that I wanted to minimize and make something smaller and a little bit easier and more approachable, because this game is known to be a 7-hour game. And it will never be tabled in my own home, but I am looking forward to tabling it when I get together with the people who I can table it with.
Yeah, this is an event game, right? Yeah.
There, any opportunity I have to table this game, it will be the game that is tabled.
Now, do you have the 70s version?
I don't.
Oh, okay. Just wondering.
Yeah, but
Well, again, though, right? You could go out and buy that current version,
Mhm.
and you're good.
Yeah.
Like, really,
Yeah.
you are. They did a great job. But
I
man, what a great pick! Holy shit, that's such a good pick.
Yeah, this one I threw as an honorable mention. I really liked how this one worked. Just the shifting alliances and how you're using your actual faction ability to find the other players to align with, and using your combination of different faction abilities to win this game. This one I enjoyed quite a bit.
Yeah, and I remember when we played this last, I don't know, a year ago or whatever. I mean,
About
it
a year, yeah.
it came down to the wire. Like it looked like there was some runaway leaders, but like by the end of it, it really was closer. The last turn was a lot closer than than you anticipated.
Everybody was super close to winning.
Yeah.
Most people, I should say, were super
See
close.
if I have notes on how this was played. I don't.
All I remember is, Mike being the friggin' spacing guild, and everybody had to keep paying him.
Oh, it was the
That
worst.
was the best thing in the world. Oh, you want to
That
go
was
there?
the
Pay me.
best.
Oh, you want to go there?
The
Pay
best,
me.
you mean?
The other thing I love about it, though, is just like the freedom of paying people. Like playing as House Atreides, and just like you've got no way to make it money really, except for you're just telling people information, and you're trying to manipulate that information to the point where it's worthwhile for you. Like,
Yeah. This game just does a really. This is sort of like the blood on the clock tower of like strategy games, where there's just like lots of crazy ways and combinations that you could just go and do things and interact. Man, you want to talk about player interaction? I won't say the game I'm thinking of so I don't step on potentially Mike's number one, but
No.
but like like it's almost like a cosmic encounter kind of level of just you have to interact with people, you have to do stuff if you want to win and be competitive. You're gonna have to find ways to do that. Yeah, great pick. Holy shit, really good.
Sweet.
Why am I blanking on who's the publisher?
Gale Force 9.
Gale Force 9. I was like, why can't I think of the publisher? Yeah, they did a good job with a bunch of the IPs that they've gotten their hands on.
Yeah, really good pick. This one is a lot of fun. It just, because of its length, it's hard to get to the table, but it is. I love these kind of games.
But when you go, hey, I need 6 players, we're gonna play Dune. You know what I mean? It's like
pick a date. Let's go.
Yeah, frothing at the mouth. Like, let's go. Yeah.
Yeah, really good pick. Okay, I guess I rounded out here. So
don't blow it, Mike.
Yeah.
No,
run a high now.
No, going from older games that I really enjoyed to one of my favorite 2024 releases that just plays like nothing else I've played, and it's Skyrise from Roxley Games.
Oh, I haven't played this yet.
More bidding games.
What was that, Bob?
I said more bidding games.
Yes, I love to bid. I love to bid. I love to watch people squirm when I outbid them and then see if they are forced to outbid me to take over a territory. Because I've just never seen any game do this. So I'm just going to put one building on the board upside down. On the bottom of my building, it's got a bid. And then you can pass, or you can outbid me by putting another building upside down with a higher bid adjacent to where I put mine. And then we're just going to keep doing that and snaking around the board until everyone passes and one player has the high bid on the board. They flip it over, they build their building. And if you've got the deluxe, you've got these amazing, well, if I can find them, those are the wood ones. There you go. You got these awesome, like futuristic buildings that get put out onto the board, and then you're going to collect a tile from that one territory. And if it's one of these colored ones, every one of those colored ones is going to increase how many points you score for having a building on those territories of that color. Or maybe you're grabbing one of these tiles that actually has a letter on it, and all the letters have different points. And when you grab one of those, you're going to find out how much those letters are actually worth. It may be 2, 4, 6, or 8 points, but you don't know until you actually grab one of them. Maybe one of the other players grabs one of the B tiles, but then they grab a D and then multiple Ds. And you're like, okay, I'm going to keep grabbing the D tiles because they're worth the 8 points, maybe. I just really enjoy bidding. I like territory control, and this game combines those in a way I've never seen any game do. And this was one of my favorite games from last year. I love this combination of mechanics. Roxley really crushed it with the production quality of this game. I backed this like back in 2022 and waited like 2 years for it. It did not disappoint. I love Skyrise. It is such a good game.
I love grabbing the D. Is that the title of Mike's autobiography?
Oh, wow.
Just
It
checking.
might be. Or grabbing the D and putting it in the B.
Well,
I really like how, as you're collecting those little discs off each of those areas, yes, it makes those areas worth more points up to a point, and then it starts to decrease in value if you get too many. And I love that trying to balance to not get too many of like a certain color to maximize the points on them is fun.
I was trying to find the player boards to emphasize what you were talking about there, but yeah, that is a great mechanic. When we did our top new to you, this was like number 2 for me. I love this one. And of course, amazing Andrew Bosley art. I mean, that doesn't hurt.
Yeah, right.
Roxley production.
Yeah, Roxley production's always been great.
When they go all in, it's bonkers.
It's always good.
I just love this game so much. It was the first one I thought of for this list.
Well, Mike, you've caused me regret because I have nearly bought this game 3 times at once.
Oh.
I love player interaction games and bidding and auctioning and territory control. I've just never played a game that combines them all the way this game does. There's just no game in my collection that does what this game does. So, man, if you like that stuff, I cannot recommend this one enough. It's so unique.
Yep. I'm not huge on bidding, and this is a fun game.
Yeah. I have a game on my shelf that I now know was the wrong choice.
Oh, no. Oh,
the
no.
one you bought instead of Skyrise? I've heard good things about Mexico. That's interesting.
I've got Mexico. We should play it. It's good.
No, I remember I got called out. This plays like nothing else. Well, it's a re-implementation of Metropolis. So it plays like Metropolis. But this is the only one you can get unless you want to play, secondary prices from Metropolis, like which is at a prep.
Metropolis.
Is that what it is? Okay. Metropolis is what it looks like to me. But yeah, I seriously gave this one a 9. I love this game so much. And if you have the Deluxeified with not only the plastic buildings and the plastic islands that look like they're floating above the player board.
Mm-hmm.
Man, so good. So good.
Yeah, there's the player board. You can kind of see a little bit. I don't know if you can zoom in on it. But yeah, it's like once you get 3 of those little chits, it's worth the maximum amount of points. But then if you get another one, it drops the value.
There you go. Yeah.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah,
so
see 2, 3, 4, 6, back down to 4.
Yep.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you've already getting the max amount of points here, you don't want to build a building again on the green territories, but somebody may force you to.
Yeah,
and that's
you're just trying to force somebody to go into a corner, and you have your piece in that. They'd be like, you know what? You can go ahead and have it. He's like, oh, you jerk! No, you're supposed to outbid me and take this other spot. So I don't want that piece. Yeah,
I like how the board is built too, and that there's ways that you can put these bids out. This zooms in so much.
The art deco on the cards, back of the cards, is really nice.
Yeah, or putting a bid out here, and sometimes you get these guaranteed properties where there's nothing adjacent. If you're the highest bidder here, that's This game is so good. One of my favorite releases from last year. Very glad I backed the deluxe.
Yep. Cool beans.
Well, there you go.
There it is. Did you guys write down more than 5? Do you have honorable mentions?
I mean, I had a few, but like some of them got mentioned, so I just kind of piggybacked on those. I would be amiss if I didn't just say Ahoy Kitten has some of my favorite.
That was one of my honorable mentions too.
Player
I try to steer
interaction.
away from more. I wouldn't necessarily call it a party game, but like it's pretty like party game adjacent.
Yeah. Well, you know, like most good party games, right, are very player interactive.
Right. And that's why I try to steer clear of them because it's like most of them are that way.
Yeah, thanks, Trevor. I'm more like a vibes guy. Yeah, I don't know. But no, I think honestly, my list was, I mean, a War for Whispers definitely was ready. Andrew, I thought about putting Sausage Sizzle on, but the player interaction is more like there's not really player interaction other than in the gameplay. It's more like goading people into pushing things too far. Right. Which we've done, you know, we did on Friday when we played the game. You know, kind of the same thing with like Flip 7, right? Flip 7 has got
heckling,
right? Which is player interaction, but it's more just because that's the way we play the game versus the spirit of the game, or, you know, in the rules, you know.
That should be in the rules, though. Like
that should be. You can't win at people as they roll the dice. Yeah,
exactly.
Listen,
if you're quiet playing Flip 7, it's wrong.
Agreed. Oh my God, we were rowdy as hell playing that game, and are always
way to be.
Always rowdy playing Flip 7. I couldn't believe, again, we talk about like bringing people out of their shells, right? Like we were playing that game with Yuval, who is a game designer from Toronto. We were at QSCon, and Yuval is like calling people out, you know, like, oh, you need to keep going, you know, you wimp, you coward. And it's like, dude, you were so quiet and polite, you know, like this really nice Canadian fella, you know, and now he's getting mean. And it's like, oh, this is great. Like, I'm here for it. So yeah, I mean, any kind of game that it invokes those emotions and those feelings, hell yeah. But I did try to stick to things that were like integral to
the game,
actual game. Whereas Sausage Sizzle and Flip 7, my gameplay is enhanced because of the player interaction, you know, and where, you know, but it's not you know, part of the rules, you know.
I had a couple of games that had like some dice drafting in them as part of the player interaction, like games like Fleet the Dice Game or Taverns of Tiefenthal, where, I mean, yeah, Taverns, you're kind of doing your own thing on your player board, but you do have that dice draft where you're interacting with people, trying to see what dice people are going to take and whatnot. But they didn't quite make it because I figured the other games I picked had more player interaction.
You know, it's funny, as I was going to give you guys a hard time, and I was going to put Sky Team on my list and then go, oh, wait, you're not allowed to interact. So it is the anti-player interaction. I was going to have two like asshole picks, like, because Foundations of Rome being the first one, like, oh, a thing I hate. And then Sky Team where it's anti-player interaction. But I did honestly consider like The Crew. But I tried to go with games that I actively seek out and want to play. So I didn't pick The Crew. Mike, do you feel attacked?
Maybe
a little,
just a little, yeah.
No,
but only in a player interactive way.
Okay, cool, good.
Just so you know, Mike, I did mark each of those rounds of Fellowship of the Ring as a separate gameplay.
Of course you did.
Well, technically, unlike The Crew, that is a different game
Yeah, exactly.
because the scenario has
cannot
changed.
I roll any harder.
Sam, do you have any honorable mentions? Anything you wanted to shout
I didn't
out?
write down any honorable mentions. I did play around with including Slay the Spire on my list.
I want to play that so bad.
Yeah.
I want to play that so bad.
So-
I love the video game.
Mm-hmm.
And I really like the way the co-op worked because it's no turns. It's all kind of free for all there.
Okay.
And they encourage you right in the rule book, like don't play the cards face up. They're like talk about that. And so when we played together, the group that I played with, it did feel like a player interactive game. But also co-op's not usually my cup of tea.
Oh, sure.
It was good, but
With you.
One of the there's a couple of co-ops that definitely could have made the list because of that level of player interaction, right? Like Black Orchestra, for example, because if somebody gets caught by the Gestapo and you get this card and then you have to pick without talking to everybody else, like what you're going to do. So maybe you rat somebody out, like there's all these different things you can do. And that sort of creates these different relationships you have with the other players, even though it is a cooperative game. But I kind of tried to leave co-ops off, kind of like Bob was staying away from skirmish games because skirmish games by their very nature, right, have to be player interactive if they're any good.
We could all do a whole top 20 of player interaction skirmish games.
100%.
So speaking of cooperative games where there's a lot of player interaction, I don't know if you played the Attack on Titan deck builder.
Oh yeah, that's good.
You really have to work together. You're not just building your own deck and doing your own thing. Like you need to have one person who's good at going over and killing Titans. You have one person who's good at like picking up items and trading them with each other to make sure the right persons are getting the right items and whatnot. Because if you don't work together, you're not going to win. It's one of the most difficult co-ops I've had, and it's a really unique deck builder to where you're moving around on this kind of like board. You're like on the inside of the wall to buy stuff. You're jumping on the outside of the wall to attack the Titans and whatnot. And like I said, if you really got to work together to take those Titans down, or you're not going to do it. And so that player interaction of that cooperative, like doing things is really good.
Sounds cool.
Yeah. There's so many great options, but to find the ones that really sing, it's a shame though. You guys didn't even have Button Kingdoms on your list. That's really a shame. Could have been.
Well, we're leaving that up to you, so I can mark my bingo spot.
Yeah, well, it's not out yet.
Yeah, no, we don't even know the game exists yet until everybody goes in and backs it.
We got to make it exist so that it can be on our list next year.
Make that other content creator send it back to us.
I'll play it again. I'll play it a bunch.
I know.
There is a pledge level for the prototypes. I'm in indie. I need that money.
Yeah, absolutely, dude. Absolutely. I think that's a great idea when designers do that. I honestly do. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, there's 8 prototypes floating around there. There's also 8 champions in the game. So you guys probably saw that the champions all had the name placeholder.
Mm-hmm.
So you can name a champion and you can get a prototype.
Yeah, why don't we that's a great way to kind of wrap up. Sam, let's talk a little bit about Button Kingdoms real quick again. Let's just kind of give everybody a heads up on what it's about, what they can expect. Let me just tell you, first of all, if you don't go back and watch our video.
Although you should, but even if you don't, you just glance, like Mike had the website up earlier. I'm just going to tell you, as somebody who picks up a game based on the artwork, like initially, because I missed out on some games because the art wasn't great. Like this wouldn't have been one of those games. This game has amazing artwork. And then it just has a ton of mechanics that I genuinely really like and was really surprised at the combination of them and how well it worked because of the deck building and then sort of that hidden bidding. Yeah, like I don't know what you would call that, like action assignment. Kind of thing. Sam, you're the designer. Why don't you say
it's tricky. I wish I knew the name of it because I think it's the first time it's been in a game in this way. No, so it is. I've referred to it as a bribery-based deck builder.
There you go.
It's a deck builder where we took the cost off of the cards and allowed other players the ability to assign that cost for the other players. Now, why are you willing to sell one of your other players a card that's going to make them more powerful? Well, it's because they're paying you with buttons, and buttons are victory points. Mm-hmm. So the only person who loses out in a deal in the market is the person who didn't participate in the market, which is also why it's a 3 to 4 player game. There's no 2-player version because it's all about working out those deals, trying to figure out what other players want, what other players have, what cards are going to be extra valuable for other players, and then just trying to capitalize on that throughout the game. Really, the whole goal was to be the furthest thing from a multiplayer solitaire that a deck builder has ever and hopefully can ever be. I hope that I didn't leave any multiplayer solitaire in the game anywhere.
No, it was 100% player interaction from the jump.
Yeah. So yeah, you're taking on the role of neighborhood kids who've gone to war using their stuffed animals and their pets in this mock Game of Thrones with each other, as they're just trying to vie for superiority. Of course, they're kids. They're playing a game. Some things are going to be a little bit looser there. They're having fun with each other, but the universe that you see in the artwork is the way the kids see things most of the time. So you see the tree house kind of looks like a castle. The castle fort, or the pillow fort, actually looks like a castle. The stuffed animals, they look like they're actually dressed up for battle. But you also see that they're using just general day-to-day components. And then you move into the beasts, the mythological beasts that actually eat things and destroy things. Well, those are pets dressed up like those beasts.
The lady dragon is the best.
Yeah, they're wearing dragon pajamas. But then you look at the kids level, and it's a little harder for the kids to actually see themselves fully in the world. So you see that level changes throughout. So yeah, I've had a ton of fun making it. I had a ton of fun playing it, and I hope people enjoy it. I hope people just have a good time, and it's one of those games that just makes lots of memories when it's at the table. You remember that time that somebody stabbed you in the back, and you remember that time where you were able to work out deals and plot in secrecy.
Yeah, and again, it's fun because of the way that market works. You can tank cards, right? Like, so that somebody can't get it, but it's like there is that push and pull of like, well, if they do get it, I want to be the one to get paid for it. Mm-hmm. And you can even, try to negotiate like, hey, sell here, please. I need to buy this card, and they can choose, yeah, I'll do that. And then they don't, right? Like you just,
that's 100% encouraged. Actually, that's right in the rule book is, well, the information when you're putting out your buy, your boycott, and your sell are your 3 options. It's hidden where you put it, but you're encouraged to say where you put it.
Yeah, and you can say whatever you want, though.
Say whatever you want.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's so good and really fun. And again, I can't stress this enough. Like, the gameplay was amazing, and the artwork is really, really, really good. Like, all the way through. Really enjoyed the art and the components, and just thought you did a really nice job of combining that with some really unique gameplay. And I mean that, honestly. I really mean that. And yeah, Andrew, like, I think you would like it. I think you and your daughter would definitely get some plays out of that. Now, I know your wife plays games too, but I know your daughter can be really mean and likes being mean and playing those games. But you could get this table like really easily. And for me, that's always a big factor in like whether or not I want to try to buy a game is, it's like, well, sure, it's really fun to buy the, $200, a 7-hour game, with the best components you've ever seen. But if I play it once a year, like, okay, but if I can play something get something, played multiple times, tons of times, you can take it to gatherings and family events and things like that and get it played. It always sort of increases that value for me.
I come from a family of small business owners. My mom ran a bakery, and she really kind of influenced part of like how I feel about my games. And she's like, I would much rather give the game or give a baked good away to somebody who will eat it and appreciate it than I would to sell that same thing for $100. And it's like, 10s on BGG, they're awesome. I would much rather have the game that was easiest to pull off your shelf though, and got you the table most often. And that's what I want to design.
Yeah. And I, like we all three of us, we all enjoy games, and you can look at our list, right? They're all across the spectrum of complexity, of weight, and and I think there's room for these kind of games in everybody's collections, right? You want to get stuff to the table, you want to get it played. I don't need every game to be 4 hours. Sometimes I'm definitely in the mood for that, right? Like I want to dig in, like let's fight, let's go. And sometimes it's like, man, I just want to play like something for like an hour, and then like play something else. And again, if it's got great artwork that you can combine with that, and we said it 100 times, but I'll say it one more time, is you're combining mechanics that I really like. I love deck builders. I mean, we just started playing Clank Legacy. I love deck builders. Bob and I are Magic the Gathering players. We come from deck building backgrounds. We love deck construction. So some of my first loves in the hobby were deck builders. So anytime a deck builder comes along and it's got a nice twist on it, I get excited. So
cool.
Appreciate that.
I just want to add that, I've gotten to a point where I like adding games to my collection that don't play like anything else I've ever played.
Absolutely.
That's why Skyrise was my number one for this list. Button Kingdoms plays like a deck builder I've never played. And I
100%.
talk about Shards of Infinity a lot. It would have been an honorable mention for my list where you're attacking other players. But a deck builder with interaction and bidding on cards that you can play in like 60 to 75 minutes, you're going to get that to the table a lot. And so that's really what I value, is games that I can actually get on the table and actually play. And I think Button Kingdoms is one of those. And the fact that you said you think you can fulfill this in 6 months, like I typically I know. Whoops. Hey, if you're within a year, I think you're exceeding expectations.
Yes, I am asking for a year. So my first game, Outrun the Bear, I fulfilled in 7 months.
Wow.
With there are very few small changes that need to be done right now that I'm working on. The printer will have the print files before February 18th.
Nice.
So because the printer has the print files and because of component choices, basically if we fund and the Kickstarter goes well, we should be able to start printing like April 3rd.
Quickly. Well, again, I back Kickstarters. I back Kickstarters that I'm still waiting on, years ago. So yeah, I mean, just having stuff ready and being available is great. But I mean, I would just say, like, the prototype we played, it felt like a finished game, with the exception of placeholder,
Seriously.
right, on some of the cards. I mean, it felt like a finished game. I mean, the components, like the cards, all felt good. The components looked legit. So yeah, I mean, it would not surprise me if this was able to get to people quickly because of how far along you were in the process, even just a couple months ago when we saw it.
Yeah, and I've one of the games that I am most excited for and have been the most excited for, I first encountered like in 2022, backed it immediately, and I don't think I will receive it for another 3 years. And that's just never a feeling I want to have associated with Around the Stump Games.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
I guess like the way I look at it is if I back something on Kickstarter, and you learn this the hard way, is that it will show up when it shows up. Like,
Yeah.
just have faith that it's going to show up,
Mm-hmm.
and it will get there when it get there. Because a lot of times, I'll just put this out there, right? A lot of times, and I definitely, before became a content creator, took this for granted. But a lot of times, all the games that I love, it's made by like one or two people, and it's just a passion project that they're trying to put out. I think when I got into the hobby, and it's like, I just thought everybody was like Hasbro, you know what I mean? And like Kickstarter, was kind of just like that, right? It's like, oh, it's this big company, and like, why don't I have my stuff? And it's like, well, actually, it's like three people, and they all work day jobs, and they're trying to do this and like do their regular lives, and not only do they have day jobs, but they've got families, and then they've got you've got illnesses, and you've got deaths, and you've got life events, like people get married, or you've got to travel, you've got to move, your day job changes, like there's all these kinds of like upheaval, and it's so easy to take that for granted. So I learned very quickly to just try to have some empathy and some patience, because I have yet to personally meet or encounter somebody that ran a Kickstarter that was doing it to get rich, and they're just trying to get your money and run away. Like, no, they're not trying, most of the time, if a Kickstarter is going bad or it's going long, there's either stuff they can't control, or they're just not actually business people, they're game designers. And the money management of that aspect is not always like their first thing. It always helps when somebody has already had a successful Kickstarter that is funded and, was sent out quickly without, relatively quickly without, too many obstacles, right? Like nowadays, as people become particular about their choices, right? Like because you don't want to be the next Mythic Games, or something like that. So people do tend to look and go at track records, but at least you've got a good track record so far, so I think that helps. But yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Kickstarter is life happens, man. Life happens.
Yeah. I think it'll go smooth though. We'll just see what happens.
Yeah, we just got to get that thing to fund and we'll be good.
Sweet.
Bobby, I don't know. I just want to call you out because you've been quiet. I've been talking too much.
You have.
You're welcome. But anyways, what's the longest kick? You've got some Kickstarters out there, Bob. How long have you been waiting?
So Iridia just finally showed up. That was 4 years in the making. But I mean, the dude, he kept contact, and like I said, a lot of times it's just one guy working on it. He's trying to do storyline. They had a lot of personal things pop up in his life, but he maintained contact, and like I never lost faith. I knew it was going to come. Also waiting for Quests and Cannons. That one is like, what was that, 3 years I think in the making? But we had a great time playing that prototype. So I'm excited for that final copy to finally show up. It should be sometime this year.
That's on the boats, I think.
It is very close to boats, yes. So yeah, there's a few of them that I've backed a lot of games on Kickstarter, and I have waited many a year. Monumental finally got that expansion after multiple years of waiting I haven't had a chance to play it yet to see if it fixes the downtime issue with the multiple players. I really don't think it's bad if you're playing it at 2 players. Like the downtime's not bad because you're just going back and forth, but I really enjoy the mechanisms in that game. Another deck builder type of game, but yeah, I've definitely had to wait.
As somebody that has backed a couple of Peterson games, I am used to waiting for stuff.
Google Wars, just trickle as you get things.
Yeah,
but at least like, man, you lose his face. Oh, here's something else. And then you kind of said, oh, I hear something else. Yeah,
right. I mean, so like I said, you just learn to have a little empathy, be patient. And
even like not even just board game design, I really kind of think the world could use more empathy and patience. So
100%. There's never enough.
Yep.
All right. Cool. What are you gonna say, Mike?
Sam, what's that launch date again?
I'm just confirming that I'm about to say a Tuesday, February 18th.
There you go.
Yep.
February 18th. And then you're going to be on the full 42 right
on the
around
17th.
then.
The Monday before. So yeah, keep an eye out for that, guys. Because
they're going to try to make sure that I don't wake up in time to press the launch button.
Yeah, Googs and Chris will keep you up late. They're some of my favorite people, though. It's awesome.
You can't schedule that. You actually have to hit the launch button, huh?
Yeah. It's a big red button. You gotta he's got a bust of, I don't know, pick an author you like. You flip the head back, there's a red button, you push.
And it launches.
Yeah. It might also open the door to the Batcave. Might do both things at the same time.
Back. Okay.
Yeah, good movie. But anyways, Sam, let me just say thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, dude.
And
doing this
with us.
I was a little disappointed I didn't get asked what I was drinking though, because
my God, what are you?
I know, Mike didn't. Usually he does a good job of asking, but he didn't. That's why I kind of showed it off on my second pour. But what are you drinking,
Mike? Now's your chance to rectify that.
What are you drinking over there, Sam?
I'm one of those really classy into their booze guys, which is why I was drinking Kirkland vodka and Coke.
Yes, I love it. Sam is my kind of guy.
Costco too.
He is my kind of guy. Like, I'm on a budget, man. I got other shit to do with my money. Great. That's awesome.
You know what? You can find some steals over there at Costco. That is for
sure. I buy all my Maker's Mark. I even bought this bottle of 4 Roses there. You get some pretty good deals over there at Costco.
Is vodka like your go-to, Sam? Is that like...
Yeah.
Not like you got to have it every day or anything, but,
No, it's just an easy mixer.
Vodka is a very... Any clear... And vodka doesn't always, when it's done right, doesn't have a ton of flavor, so that you can,
Sweet.
I've got a story that I'll share with you guys sometime when we run into each other.
Sweet.
I'm ashamed of myself. I try to sometimes pick like drinks based on like the theme, and so considering we picked games with good. Games with a good player interaction. I picked Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel because the whiskey has to interact with the barrel to get that flavor. So there you go, which I also bought at Costco. So there you go.
I finished off my bottle of Old Tub. I'm gonna get into the Elijah Craig Straight Ride next week.
You've been drinking that for like 3 months.
Hold on, no, I bought like back-to-back bottles. I bought it twice in a row.
Let's do it was this good as well. If you're still watching, give us a thumbs up.
Yeah,
we need it. Sam needs it. We want his game to fun. It was really fun. That's not just talking him up. Our guest here. It was really a fun deck builder. I'd love to see it fun. I will back it. So
if Tim's not saying it, it's not pandering, right?
That's right.
Tim saying it is pandering. Mike
you can tell Sam has watched the show before.
He's our pander bear.
About the games I back. If I'm backing it, like I want that game in existence.
Yeah, because Mike is famously a cheap bastard. So
this is true.
Yeah. We couldn't coerce
he's got those
him.
Small hands, he can't click because his hand can't quite reach the button.
Yeah, he's got a special mouse, but when he's at that location, he doesn't always have that special mouse there, so he can't reach. His tiny fingers can't reach the button.
Can't reach the button.
all he can do is scroll.
I want Button Kingdoms at my house, so let's make it happen. February 18th.
Let's go. Well, thank you again, Sam. I really appreciate it, man. You're a great sport. And thanks for giving us a shot at Button Kingdoms and letting us see it early.
Thanks for being excited about it. Thanks for wanting to play it. Honestly, anytime somebody plays one of my games, it's just like, I can't believe that like you were willing to sacrifice your time and risk not having fun with something that I made. So
Oh, we played way worse. It would have to. I mean, you know how it goes. You play a ton of games, you're bound to come across a couple of duds, or ones
Like I said earlier, they can't all be bangers.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right.
I'll emphasize it again. Just your explanation of the game on BGG made me want to come check it out at Origins. It's really like no deck builder I've played. So those are the games I want in my collection that are unique to everything else. And I think Button Kingdoms is one of those. So
Yeah, that is
definitely wishing you good luck, man.
It stands alone.
Thank you. And if anyone's out there who's play tested like Evan, thank you for helping make the game like that. Because if I had just been left milling over it for 2.5 years or however long it's been, it wouldn't be as awesome as it is. So
yeah, you got to get it out there, right? Get eyes on it. What were you gonna say, Hoop?
I was gonna say, don't cut out during this intro because I want to talk to you in the green room for a second.
Indeed.
All right.
All right.
All right, guys. For us, that's going to be a night. And so for the board game rundown, I was Mike.
Bob.
Tim.
Sam.
Yes.
See you next time.
Bye.
We'll see you guys.
Good job, Stonemeyer. A 7.3 repeating. Heating.